With Siege X nearing in nearly under a month, T3 and T2 teams and players clashing, welcome to the final. Playday 5, sometimes we get playdays on days they're not supposed to happen because of scheduling, but it is week 2, the 5th playday, give or take. I am Goose, and joined here, we are playday 6. I apologize, I have my producer screaming in my ear right now, but it is me, Goose, joined here with my beautiful friend with a little bit of a southern twang. It is Ace of Toronto.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot be more excited to be back. This is my first time being back since Quals, where we got to see Sora blow a few leads. And from what I have heard, there will probably be no leads blown in this match. It is going to be, it's going to be straight shelling. But let's hope for at least a little bit better of a match than that, Goose.
Yeah, today we have two teams on the complete end of the spectrum. We have JYNXZI Loyals, or not so much JYNXZI Loyals, as Aiden Tax will not be playing. So none of the roster from that previous M80X team will be playing today, but they so far have gone 2-0. I mean, with the names on this roster, especially with Hat most recently just playing in SI, this is a team that a lot of people are familiar with. Even on the console side of things, you got, a Centaur. And then the sub today that will be replacing Aiden Tax will be Nick again, somebody that all these players and us as casters are familiar with. But their opponents today, Turtle Tactics. I talked about how they are on the other side of the spectrum. They are 0-2. Throughout 5 maps being played so far in their 2 matchups, they've won just one of those maps, giving them 1 single point. So this is a team that has struggled throughout so far, especially after Nyx had left the roster, replacing Millie. And to be fair, obviously Millie's does play a different role, so you're gonna have to switch up, removing that hardened IGL support role that Nyx fell into, adding Millie. And because of all these roster changes, especially with the lack of scrims they've been able to play in, they've been going through a lot of growing pains that have costed them so far in this overall event.
Yeah, I mean, growing pains is one way to put it. They lose someone as valuable as Nyx. You've still got a pretty deep setup of a team here with Zonky, Trev, Max, Spider, Millies, and Dami, of course. I personally have heard of all of these names a few different times, so you got to know that if I hear about them, the lowly little collegiate boy, they're pretty big, to say the very least. Let's roll right on into our map vetoes now, as we have talked about the teams enough at this current point in time. Cafe being the first map off the board is interesting to me, and then the last 2 before the decider being Laren Labs, that's even more interesting to me, Goose.
Yeah, and I really do think this ban phase doesn't necessarily surprise me. Cafe and Skyscraper is essentially permabans for JYNXZI Loyals, and the exact same thing for Border and Consulate for Turtle Tactics. And then going on, the last 2 maps, it was originally going to be Labs, but Turtle Tactics choosing to ban that out. They played that just last week versus the Unks. They lost that 5-7, and to be fair, it almost went into overtime. But Zonky just could not hit the mark on the last engagement in his 2v1 or 1v2 rather. So it is a map that they understand they have a lot of success in, even throughout all the pain and struggles, but they just don't want to go there today. But we will have Clubhouse, Bank, and Chalet. Clubhouse being the very first pick by JYNXZI Loyals. That makes plenty of sense. This is a map that they absolutely love. Actually beating the Unks 7-1 on it, and then going over to Bank, map they are familiar with, going all the way back to the M80X roster, but more recently beating Outlast Black 7.
Yeah, I mean, beating Outlast Black is pretty important for, a map like Bank. You've got Clubhouse, of course, one of my favorite maps to watch, call, play, whatever you want to call it. And then the decider, I think, may or may not even come into play in the first place. We'll have to see. But Clubhouse should be a very fun one here at the very beginning. Yeah, we'll just have to see how far it goes. How far can Turtle Tactics push JYNXZI Loyals at this? Pre-match here, what are we thinking? Do we think that they can actually take a few rounds off of them? Could it even be OT? Like what are we thinking?
A couple of rounds, I'll give or take for Turtle Tactics. And I'm not trying to be mean. I've spoken to Mint personally beforehand, and even this morning about today's matchup, speaking about his struggles, and he said they just haven't really had the time to get as much practice in especially going into last game day. They didn't have the amount of scrims that they really needed or wanted. And then obviously adding a player like Millie, having a sub for their very first game. It's kind of a system where this roster is a build roster. It's like, an NBA team blowing up and rebuilding. This is going to take time going into feature T3, T2 events. It's not something you're going to see the immediate success in, whether it be today or this event as a whole. But going up against JYNXZI Loyals, it is kind of a sense where it's a recipe for disaster, because not only do you have a better structure, but you just have better proven and experienced players than Turtle Tactics, especially a lot of ex-Pro League talent being the most recent as of Hat. So it's kind of, I would use the phrase David versus a Goliath situation here. But again, with that 1 point, it puts them in a better situation. But this is a matchup that going into, we understand, and they most definitely understand that it's probably not their game.
Yeah, I mean, it's take a few rounds, get a few extra sets, practice reps in, so to speak, kind of match. Both maps, of course, and maybe even a possibility of map 3. That would just be the ultimate icing on the cake for this team, because I will agree with everything that you said about it. The fact that, there's no more Knicks. It's a little bit more of like a build, blow up, right after the rebuild type of roster. We're talking about Brooklyn Nets after the big 3 left. You're only left with so many scraps to go with at that point. So, ZYNXZI is still a good enough player, I think, along with Millie's being the sub for today. I mean, Millie's is going to have to find his role on this team, and he's going to have to find it fast, because the truth is going to hit them really hard here in this first map, at the very least, I would expect. It's time will tell how this specific roster for Turtle Tactics will end up panning out.
Yeah, and even going all the way back to, personally speaking with Mint, even the video he released, this is a roster that is unproven talent that hasn't really been given the opportunity to show what they can. And it goes back to the idea that this is not a roster that's going to come out of the gate shooting, surprising everybody. Maybe potentially later on, if they can get a play-in spot, they can potentially be a dark horse team. But just at this moment in time, especially the player like adding Millies, who doesn't really have a lot of high T3, T2 experience compared to players like ZYNXZI or Dami. ZYNXZI even playing over in the MXPL qualifiers for a little bit. Again, it's just kind of a situation where you just kind of have to play your best, understanding that I don't want to, be doom and gloom and say there's no chance, because to be fair, JYNXZI Loyals are without Aiden Tax, and this may be a controversial take, but I think that is arguably one of their best, maybe their best players. Obviously, you have Pro League talent. I understand Hat is experience-wise a much better player, but the consistency that Aiden Tax has been putting up, especially without having his second-hand man stomping there with him being retired, he has really stepped in to that prime entry role. I think, whether or not Hat shows up, I don't think that's going to be a question. He almost always does. They're still going to feel a little bit of that gap without Aiden Tax today. And maybe that's an opportunity for Turtle Tactics to kind of, nudge a couple of rounds off more than they probably could have before the sub.
I mean, in all honesty, one of the most recent times that Hat didn't show up was probably the beginning of the main stage in Boston. Like, this guy, he's been locked in, even in the loss against Unwanted, and then you go from there, and all the matches that he's had with this JYNXZI Loyals squad, like, man, he personally has been on fire. And yes, no Aiden, that is going to be a big factor, I would say, but at the end of the day, what's a pebble to a boulder? Like, Turtle Tactics, yes, take advantage of no Aiden, right? You can do no wrong in doing that. Yeah. But at the same time, the rest of this roster, I mean, they're still just too loaded, I feel.
Yeah. I don't think getting a map off of JYNXZI Loyals is out of the question, especially now they've had a week to actually scrim and practice. But again, I think everything on paper, and I'm a caster, I'm a person, when I go into an analytic role, I want to kind of make my predictions, my assumptions based off of the facts that we have, not just a gut feeling like I do with my prize picks. So again, just everything in this matchup really just tells me that this is going to be a consistent 2-0, but I do think there is definitely a good possibility, depending on the bans and if we can get to a chalet, that this can be still a competitive.
We're going to have to see if we can even get to chalet in the first place. We're going to have to see how Clubhouse rolls out first and foremost here. Maverick becoming a more and more prominent ban on a map like Clubhouse. It's no real surprise to see him gone here. I'm expecting either Montaigne or Blackbeard. CJX is looming, but it is not here yet. So Blackbeard still, and I still think he's going to be a very viable use.
There he goes. Bye-bye.
There goes
no
Blackbeard.
surprise there.
Not at all. He's still going to be very viable, I think, in CJX. But yeah, he's going to be banned as well a lot, I'd still say.
Yeah, Blackbeard. I can confidently say he's the most banned operator. It doesn't matter what region. It doesn't matter what tier. He's the most banned operator. He's the most potent. Cade not being a surprise. JYNXZI Loyals going through the prep for this match. Surprisingly, throughout all of their games, and up until this point, Cade, I believe it was around 2 to 3 times. Let me see. Yeah, it was 2 times, which is a lot more than other teams do. Maverick also. This is the second time that Turtle Tactics have banned it. Last time around, they did ban it on Labs, which a lot of casters, a lot of people say this map plays very similarly to Nighthaven Labs. And
I'll
overall,
agree with that.
Turtle Tactics is a team that really focuses on the basics, which then goes into their game plan, and just that Maverick taking off the board, make it just a tad bit more difficult to get those walls open.
Yeah, I mean, just the Mav tricking that can be so potent on multiple different walls on this map. You can see and come to beginning to understand why he's such an important ban on this map now at this point, as much as he is an important pick, because that makes it to where it's that much easier to protect your hard breacher like a Maverick, or not a Maverick, like a Thermite, who might be getting the other side of the wall, etc., etc. So, you know, Maverick becoming more and more of a prominent ban. It's no real surprise as we are seeing Church be the first defense here for Turtle Tactics. Got a Mira on the board along with a Azami and a Goyo. I love those 3 picks specifically. Can't really say too much about the Smoke and the Mute because they feel a little bit more, you got to go with them to an extent. I do like seeing the Goyo though, because one of the more recent matches I've actually had the pleasure of watching, Dirt became a big factor, and it was on Clubhouse. Dirt became a big factor. You got to be able to cut off important entry points like that.
Yeah, and you so far putting Agent on that entry role. We are really going to be looking at whether or not a player performs, what players will be put into that entry role. It looks like, you know, kind of a hat Agent. Obviously, you could have Centaur as a spearhead. I don't think they'll use him consistently as a entry, especially since you won't see Blitz every round. Majority of the times that attacking teams will bring out this Blitz, sometimes only for attacking Church and Arsenal, because it's just really hard to clear an entry path into the bomb site once you get those hatches open, once you go for the execute. So it's kind of a, I wouldn't say it's a gimmick pick from Centaur, but it is a pick that you probably won't see consistently.
I'll agree with that. I'll bounce off of that, because I feel like Blitz is actually somewhat difficult unless you have a Smoke or a Goyo to actually defend when it comes to coming down main or even through blue, or you could even have him drop the hatch if you really wanted to. He's still a pretty important role in this attack, and as we're seeing Hat get the kitchen floor open now, it might not be all about opening the hatch for JYNXZI Loyals here at the beginning of this. I think they're more or less trying to catch some of the members of Turtle Tactics out and roaming.
Yeah, but Turtle Tactics playing very bunkered in this round so far, not trying to give those early round gunfights any easy picks to JYNXZI Loyals.
Tricked one of them off.
Yeah, a beautiful one at that. Donking the almost timing. Well, I think he actually timed it really good, but you know, if you have played Habana time and time after again, she does have 4 more. You're going to be able to at least get that hatch open, but that will make getting a lot of these other points relatively more difficult, whether it be box or blue. It's going to be points of the map where you're going to have to be a little bit more cautious, especially with this Mira now being punched out. But it looks like a majority of this execution is going to come over onto this hatch drop inside of Arsenal, shooting out a couple of those Bs. More than likely just going to try to force center, but it's actually Agent inside of blue looking for a pick, but it's actually the Smoke getting 2 kills onto both Nick and Asian, and the entirety of JYNXZI Loyals out of nowhere just fall apart, and Zonky just shut it down. And Turtle Tactics, they just completely wiped the floor to start off the game.
If you're JYNXZI Loyals, how do you let that happen in the capacity that it did? I feel like Nick didn't have too much coordination with his teammate that ran down Secret right there. and then it came down to the smoke rotating out and just being behind everyone. Like they had excellent eyes throughout that entire round, I'd say, with the drones, and they had the Grimbees and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it was just one singular misplay that cost the entirety of JYNXZI Loyals that round. The one single misplay makes it 4-1 practically instantly. So I personally don't know what they could have done better or different. Maybe a little extra coordination, especially from Nick. Like, he threw all of them towards site right there. Maybe he could have had one a little bit more towards that rotate out of church and into blue, because I don't necessarily know if that's where smoke came from, but I think it might be. And yeah, I mean, just plain and simple, I don't think the coordination was there for JYNXZI Loyals, and it went from 5-4 to 4-1 instantly.
Yeah, overall a difficult round to start it off. I also, with that mute, and Turtle Tactics overall as a team is a very defensive team that really focuses on denying utility, whether it be just making sure they're consistently getting rid of that drone economy, or just having operators to deny that info like a mute. You won't have that this time around though, but JYNXZI is on the board with that friend. We're not exactly in the same sense as a mute, but does make it a little bit more difficult to traverse, especially going these extensions close to the site. Nothing really heavy inside of CC, but there is a hold inside of Cash. This is a point of the map that JYNXZI Loyals, whether or not they want to, they will have to focus on. They will have to apply a little bit of pressure. It just comes down to whether or not they want to fully commit to clearing it out.
And see, a little bit of extra help for clearing it out here will be Nick on the Deimos. They realized there was no mute, which meant that the direct Deimos counter was off the board. Nick is going to have to be a deciding factor in moving a few of these extra stragglers for Turtle Tactics around to where they need to be moved to.
Yeah, you can see that, you know, they do want to try and clear out this extension. They don't really want to try and focus on any other points of the maps. They want to try to at least clear this red player, apply pressure, and then get that wall open. They don't have any 100% info on whether or not that top red player, luckily for them, they're not there anymore. There won't even be anybody in cash. Rather, Turtle Tactics going for an extended hold closer to the bomb site. So no immediate gunfights, no immediate damage aside from Hat almost killing himself with that free charge on the soft wall. This is going to be yet again another round where Turtle Tactics just play very passive and force JYNXZI Loyals to go into an even 5v5 execution.
And the drone work, I can't say enough about it, because it's been just fundamental to how well JYNXZI Loyals have played throughout the first 3 quarters of both of these maps now. Look at that. Center saw the Nitro, so now there's going to be even more value out of these drones and how well just JYNXZI Loyals have been droning themselves out. Center is looking to get big here. He has 2 of them. He might not even know it yet, but either way, it's 4-1 quickly for JYNXZI Loyals. Multiple kills go off right there.
Yeah, phenomenal collapse. It's Spider in a 1v4, an almost unwinnable one. Hat is going to eventually finishing it off. And exactly mirroring the last round, this time around, it's JYNXZI Loyals with the 4v1 at the end, and they are able to finish it. A phenomenal 1-2-3 go, especially over in that initiation portion of the map. Identifying that C4, using the secondary EMP in the pocket of center, and then just full rushing Asian and Nick doing their jobs near perfectly, having Hat as that backline to finish out the round on that last player over by Bathroom. That is what we expect out of that team, especially you talked about in the first round on how they weren't very consistent in the overall calming and just how they were playing together. But that round is definitely a round where we can say they fixed that problem.
Turned it 180 degrees around. They straight up and down fixed everything that was wrong about that first round. At the same time, you got to think, maybe they just don't really like attacking downstairs that much. They seem to have had the correct lineup for it, but now when it came to attacking bedroom, I feel like it definitely worked more in their favor. Everything was falling the appropriate direction for them there, and the calming and the droning both really just kind of fixed itself, so to speak. They were doing everything right that first round. They did everything right and then some the second round, and it made it 1-1 here.
Yeah, we talked about how Turtle Tactics were trying to deny those walls getting open by banning out that Maverick, and they're doubling down on that ideal. bringing not only that bandit with Millie, but also ZYNXZI on the tuber route to make sure that these walls either stay closed or at least it is an absolute headache and a pain and a half to get them open. Also, even using a Mira on the CC wall, just making it honestly an absolute headache just to even attempt to get these walls open. I really do like this, especially on the CC. And round after round, we see that Turtle Tactics, their overall game plan is to just simply waste as much time and deny an early round execute, so they're able to set up those crossfires and prepare themselves to just kind of shut down these players on JYNXZI Loyals.
The fire, the electricity, everything gets stopped in an instant by the Tuberal canister. Someone that they haven't necessarily found yet. They're just gonna let ZYNXZI run wild downstairs. He is now down to only one canister, so at some point the wall will get open after this canister goes off here. The Twitch drone might have also gotten frozen. Not 100% sure, but they... Oh, Asian gets hurt there a little bit. Look at this lineup from Dami. This could prove beneficial at the very least if they don't know he's down there.
Yeah, you just honestly have to get that timing right. Obviously enough, Dami has some sort of info, whether it be just the sound on his headphones or a cam on center, but he's going to fall off. He's going to choose to not go for that. Asian, though, he's able to pick ZYNXZI off relatively early on. TrevMac hiding, but Dami just misses the mark on the C4, also exposes his position. So now everybody on JYNXZI Loyals knows that Trev is completely isolated. But he's able to get one. Spider with another one of his own. Now that Capital bolt to try and put some pressure on him. Eventually, Center is able to finish that player off, even it out to a 3v3. Not enough controller info on where these last three players are. So Asian, he's going to throw a drone out for that flank watch so he doesn't get ran out on. Dami, though, still at the bottom of those blue stairs. Nick, though, taking a couple of hits of damage. They really need to get Center. Here comes Dami. If he can time this correctly, he can shut down this entire round. He gets one on to Nick, isolates the Monty. Asian also taking a little bit of damage, but Center, paired with his teammate, is able to get the player on the site, just trying to bait that player out. But down below, Dami is able to get Center. It's Asian in a 1v2. He jumps down. He knows that all he has to do is play time. Asian doesn't even have the bomb in his pocket. And this round is all but over. And Turtle Tactics, they take back that lead.
A barbed wire kill. Is that what we were... was that something that was on our bingo card? Because, holy... I mean, everything was going good for JYNXZI Loyals there, but it just seemed as though they were behind the ball, so to speak, throughout that entire round. It's like Turtle Tactics were one singular step ahead of them throughout that entire round, and it ended up making it 2-1 for them. But how does JYNXZI Loyals rebound off of that? What can we say that they did wrong there? I think Turtle Tactics messed up on their coordination with each other and still ended up beating JYNXZI Loyals right then in that round. So, I mean, in all honesty, what does JYNXZI Loyals need to do better? I personally think they need to start pushing a little bit more coherently. I think you have Center on an island, and Center knows that someone is up there, but he's focused on the C4 that's flying over his head from Dami, who's down below, and then boom, just in an instant, your backup is taken out. Someone then might need to think about rotating and going back around to help Center, even though Monty Pistol was absolutely working for him last round, I will say. But it's the small things like that that are costing JYNXZI Loyals these rounds against Turtle Tactics. We were talking so heavily about how this was going to be a 1-2-3, 1-2-3, we're done and over. Turtle Tactics have shown that they've came to play, and they're really just kind of catching JYNXZI Loyals off guard with a lot of this.
Yeah, JYNXZI Loyals this time around, they'll get another opportunity, their second in this half, to attack that basement church and arsenal bomb site. Not making too many changes this time around, though. Nick will be picking on to that Ying, a little bit more execution utility and also blinding utility to try and displace and disrupt those crossfires on the bomb site. And a very well read play into this round, because Turtle Tactics doing the exact same thing they did not only the very first round, but even the second, of just playing Turtle, unintended, where they just allow for JYNXZI Loyals to just get this map control. They're not really trying to contest and force these early round gunfights because they understand that JYNXZI Loyals relatively do waste quite a bit of their own time without having to deal with any early round gunfights. JYNXZI Loyals is a team that is really focused on just getting as much info as possible.
Yep. And Turtle Tactics are kind of letting them play into their hands a little bit to an extent. It's like, we know you're going to drone us out, so we're going to be exactly where you need, where you think we are, and we're going to win the gunfight from that point on. Like when it comes to Dami last round, they didn't drone him out, and he still got value from being down there because that took Center's backup. It took the eyes off of the guy who was top garage. So at the same time, it's like, we know you guys are very good with your fundamentals, but can you handle what we've got for you? And that's just straight up just adversity.
Yeah, Rice continuing to just feed that monster that is the impact trick, but nobody will be there anymore. No more impacts in the pockets of either Spider or Zonky to trick that hatch open. So it will get open with 4 of those bearings still in his pocket. He's gonna be able to get other ones. Already having that blue hatch open, also already having that box hatch open. But you still have to worry about this mirror. You still have to worry about the player inside of blue. There's still so many things to get done, so many chores to get done on the list that mom gave you. And Center, right inside of dirt, looking to make his way, looking to be the spearhead, the start of the round. And Turtle Tactics, they don't seem to be really aware. The Yin Candela from Nick will go out. TrevMac will take a little bit of damage. They are now fully aware of Center's position. These Yings not really having an effect because nobody from JYNXZI Loyals can really get into the bomb site. Center with the first one, it all falls apart. And out of nowhere, it's a flawless round for JYNXZI Loyals to tie it up 2-2.
And look at that. Look at the difference between round 1 and round 4 right there. You had Nick on Grim round 1. He didn't place his Grim Bees in a advantageous, that might not be the right word. He didn't place them in the correct spot in order to draw out who needed to be drawn out. That was smoke shotgun. You didn't even know it at that time. That cost you the round. Then you look at him now. He's on Ying. He's yinging everywhere. Everything that's under him, he's throwing a Candela at it, and it proved useful enough to have 3 people who are around that mirror and those rotates blind. That is just a recipe for success if I've ever seen one. Not to mention Center, he's drawing so much attention away with the fact that he is in dirt. That makes you have to flick around and pay attention to him, even if it's only a split second. Center ended up getting one of those blinded kills. Nick had a heyday when he fell down the hatch. Ying not being able to be blinded by her own Candelas. And it was just a 1-2-3 punch of the team just collapsing in exactly where they needed to go in at.
Yeah, and this now brings back to a point where I would really like to see Turtle Tactics be a little bit more flexible on their playstyle on defense. We've now seen almost every round, I would say every round, where they kind of just don't go for those early round gunfights. They don't aggress on any early points unless they have to on a bomb like CCTV. It allows for JYNXZI Loyals to do all their prep work on the bomb site, get all the info needed, and set up those crossfires for the execution. And then that round specifically, just Turtle Tactics not really prepared for that onslaught and plethora of attacking utility just thrown onto them, and something that they need to be a little bit more wary on, especially this round to start on Master Bedroom. That, keep in mind, last time they played, they lost.
It's very true. They did lose Master Bedroom last time they played it. You're gonna have to hope that you're gonna have to hope that the breach charge hurts Hat again. It didn't this time though. Hat and Asian are the backup for Center, so now you have to be careful of this C4 that is pulled. I don't necessarily think that C4 is going to be able to get too much value, but just as I spoke it, it's almost like they heard me. Center has the backup that he needs now. C4 goes absolutely nowhere. Walls are getting open. Asian is with him. Hat was with him. Center is going to be able to get all of the info that he needs for his gunners, and that's just something that I can say that didn't necessarily happen a few rounds ago. Now it might prove useful enough, but Asian goes down anyway. He peeks around. He doesn't even have Center with him anymore.
Yeah, Center can't
Sentry's
even
blocked
see
off
where
by
he
the
is.
fire.
He's completely lost.
Oh.
A phenomenal play by Dami to get the kill onto Nick. They double up on the Monty. Where are you looking? Rice almost goes for the knife. Trevmac in center. They trade out. Asian still down, but not out. Completely on an island, separated from his teammate Hat, who's now in a 1v3. He has
1v3,
all the work to do. No info. He has 50 seconds, though. He's going to rotate over to CC, try and pick up his teammate. They also need to retrieve the case that's on the bottom of red stairs. This bulletproof is going to give a lot of info, and it looks like they're not even going to go for that case backup, and rather just play the time, go for those gunfights, and try and finish this 1v or 2v3 now off. Asian just looking for a little bit of info. Hat holding the cross outside on highway, looking for any player who's exposing themselves. They do know where ZYNXZI is playing Asian. He has to go for this ISO gunfight. Ben Rare Charge will give the info that he is inside of initiation. Hat, though, he's inside the bomb site trying to apply pressure. He gets one kill on the Spider. ZYNXZI needs to try and ISO Asian. He does. Now with the mirror window, he knows exactly where this player, Hat, is in a rock in between a hard place, and ZYNXZI, he's able to finish it out. A very good effort, though, from the sledge, that being Hat, but it just was not enough, as now, yet again, Turtle Tactics, they take that lead by 1.
Wow, they were kind of toying with Hat there at the end. It's like the way that everything broke down actually ended up working in the favor of Turtle Tactics. I will say that sitting behind the mirror was definitely a bold decision to be made. Like, it would have been smart for them not to peek, and none of them peeked. Sitting behind the mirror, like I said, was a very interesting choice. It ended up paying off, luckily enough, especially because he knew that Hat didn't really have the best angle on him to hop in from. But wow, I mean, I have no clue where he was looking. Straight up and down behind him. And yeah, it just comes back to ping-ponging Hat around the board there at the very end of it. We're back to CC now, though. They ended up defending Bedroom well enough to get the 3-2 lead now. Will they be able to do the same on CC once again, though? A little bit different of a lineup as well this time.
Yeah, still going for that dual hard breach, bringing back the Therm and the Ace. This time around, though, they are not going to be playing Shield. The very first time that we have not seen a Shield in any form being brought out from JYNXZI Lows. Rather, had to be switching on to that Thatcher. Just make sure that they can get these walls open. Turtle Tactics also making a little bit of change of their own, but in the info and denial department, Dami bringing that Echo out. And this is an operator that Turtle Tactics, or JYNXZI Loyals rather, have not had the opportunity to play against. So this is a really good change in pace that JYNXZI Loyals may not fully be prepared for. And then, okay, I was about to say, if that one bandit charge was able to get all 2 ace charges and the thermite, that would have been crazy. But again, a lot of change-ups coming from both teams in this round to try just kind of change and mix up the pace here.
Will they be able to pull it off, though? Because look at the defensive lineup that Turtle Tactics has. They've got the Echo in order to help maximize time stall, along with Spider on the Legion. Of course, the canisters can be thrown at someone instead of on a wall, or at a wall that's near someone to slow them down with the freeze. And then, of course, the smoke. This is the ultimate time stall you out type of lineup. We know that JYNXZI Loyals already takes a little too much time when it comes to attacking certain bomb sites. Last time, I believe it did kind of come down to the wire last time we were on this map. But at the end of the day, they know that they take too long sometimes already. They want to try to maximize that. No Goyo, I feel like that probably would have maximized the maximize, so to speak. But they're trying their best to make it come down to the absolute wire once again, like it did last round and even the round before.
Yeah, JYNXZI Lows this time around, instead of going for that garage take, be pushing over by master side. More than likely going to be forcing that execution over by construction. But look at how much info Dami is getting. He's able to relay to the rest of his team in a C4 below. A phenomenal play from Turtle Tactics. Wow. Even with ZYNXZI taking so much damage, he is able to take center off the board, get rid of those exothermic charges, remove that capability to get that single wall inside of cache, and it's going to make this round a lot more difficult for JYNXZI Lows, especially without being able to get that immediate trade. Millie just over swinging, giving that easy one to Asian. You're going to be able to take that bandit off the board. Rice also going to be able to open the single wall to put a little bit more pressure onto the bomb site. But the problem is not a lot of drones that they're able to use. They're going to have one to try and spot where these two defenders are in the bomb site. The nade comes out to try and push Dami, but he's not able to swing out in time. Dies to the nade. A 3v4 now. Zonky at the bottom of basement. Zonky and Hat, they each go for one. Turtle Tactics still at the end of it, but a phenomenal hold from Spider. Nick and Rice so low on health. Not being able to spot where this crossfire is coming. Zonky almost getting the head of one player. They can't find a spot to get the bomb down. Rice, he's going to have to do it. Spider gets one on to the cover, and that's it. That's the round at Turtle Tactics. They get that 4-2 halves to start their defense.
That proves that holding your angles, even though we did see the smoke pushed out there, that proves that holding your angles actually does hold enough value in this day and age, in this game. Like right before pre-CJX here, it's all about holding your angles and just being unkillable, being the unkillable force that is just grinding the gears of the attackers. It's just, you saw Zonky on the huge flank. That was just the icing on the cake to the fact that JYNXZI Loyals were so unbelievably overwhelmed with the defense, and the defense was giving them absolutely nothing, and it just ruined every attacking plan that they had there toward the end of that round. Being down the players that they were down, the utility that was off the board already at that point, there was just absolutely nothing. It was just suffocating without even being in your face. Just Turtle Tactics prove that they are a great defending team when it comes to Clubhouse, and we're going to have to see how JYNXZI Loyals can respond now down 4-2 on the split.
Yeah, the defense has always been a strong suit for Turtle Tactics, but keep in mind, even with a 2-4 half for the attack on Clubhouse being the relative norm for a majority of teams, this is not only a map that was picked by JYNXZI Loyals, but a map they won 7-2 up against the Unks. Already 2 rounds buffering. Keep in mind, the Unks are a team that just beat Turtle Tactics 2-0 in a very convincing fashion. So this is not a situation where it's like, okay, we got the bare minimum, we're doing fine. This is a first half that JYNXZI Loyals, in my opinion, are struggling a lot on this map. Turtle Tactics doing a phenomenal job trying to go for a really quick execute. Millie, Dami, and Zonky just shutting down all of this. It's just Center and Nick alone on the bomb side. We talked about how Turtle Tactics really loved to play in a turtle play style. Didn't want to really aggress. This time around, though, JYNXZI Loyals changing that script, trying to force those early round gunfights, but they're punished tenfold for it.
And if you're JYNXZI Loyals, how do you let that happen? You get an early down onto Rice. It's time to back everything up just a little bit. Rice might not have even been in the position that you wanted him in, and then it just goes down from there. See, now this is also a beneficial piece.
No,
exactly what I was saying last round. It's all about holding your angles. Be the unkillable force. Be what is driving the attackers just absolutely mad. Zonky is going for the plant. He has the Montaigne to be his eyes and ears. The plant goes down now. Nick goes down as well, and the Montaigne takes the best angle possible to win that one easy peasy for Turtle Tactics. I don't understand JYNXZI Loyals' approach to the beginning of that round. I have watched a lot of Siege. I've been doing this for a minute now. I have no clue what it was that they were setting up for or going for, but it played right into how Turtle Tactics wanted to attack that.
Yeah, sure, they are named Turtle Tactics, but to start off their attack, they are definitely playing at a rabbit's pace. The definition of quick. Taking all 3 of those roamers and extended players on the defense from JYNXZI Loyals completely off guard throughout those 3 kills, only losing Spider, sure, he is on your Hibana, but they still had those can openers in the pockets of the rest of their teammates, so they still had that extra capability to get those hatches open. And then once you're in a 2v4, there is no way as a defense that you can try and play spoilers on denying those hatches, denying those breach. You have to go for gunfights. And it is still around that JYNXZI Loyals, even though their last 2 players were completely disconnected, miles apart, were able to work it to a 2v2, but that Monty and the Ram were able to play it down to a T and win it out. And Turtle Tactics starting out strong with now a 3-round lead.
I mean, it's looking more and more likely that Turtle Tactics are taking JYNXZI Loyals map here in Clubhouse. There's no guarantee. You cannot count JYNXZI Loyals out. This team is still ultra talented, but the way that they have played so far during this map specifically, you see the scoreboard, they're down 5-2. But it doesn't tell the whole story, and the whole story is questionable movement from certain defenders. It's just, and questionable strategies at the same time. Why would you do certain things that you have been doing? Millie takes Nick out, and it's just the same thing over and over has continued to happen here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really difficult round. The difficulties, the struggles for JYNXZI Loyals are going to continue to lean on losing that first entry pick, not being able to get an immediate answer back. Even Agent in a completely isolated position where he should die. This is a position where if they have the info, they have the positions from the players, they have the cutoff, they aren't able to finish off the kill because Agent reads into that engagement correctly, understands he doesn't need to over-aggress on that deep line of sight over by Chain, but he's going to lose so much health. Even Hat's going to drop down back to site, and it is continuing to be a really difficult site because now you have so much time, you have a lot of pressure on the defense, and there was a lot for Turtle Tactics to play with as they set up their execution.
The double shield is insane to me, by the way. Like, they're coming full, they're just full Turtle Tactics. They're coming ready to play. That's exactly what, and it's what they feel like is going to be what wins them this. I mean, it's at least what they feel like is going to take them to 6-2 here, match point. It is coming down to the wire, though. We've got 1 minute left. We're just now getting a few different hatches open. Dami has made sure that all of these stairways are clear as of now. We're going to get a little bit more from the above. Zonky here, he's just going to try his hardest to make sure that a few extra lines of sight for some fleeting, roaming defenders can be opened up to maybe be able to take them out. But as of now, it's all about site execution. 30 seconds left. The defenders need to be the thorn in the attacker's side. It seems as though they actually might be gearing up for something like that, and if so, the defenders might actually be really, really well placed. The timing might also be it here. 18 seconds left. Oh.
Yeah, Rice with one, Millie's with another. It's a 3v4 now. They're trying to get this bomb down. Rice is able to get yet another one, but they need to make sure this position for the planner is safe, and it is! Zonky with a 3K in the execution to get match point. Going into this,
not know he's there, Hat?
Going into this, as a whole, as a collective, our production team was like, this is a matchup that should be a 2-0 based on the pure fact that the guns and mechanical skill that JYNXZI Loyals will simply just beat out any structure, any strat that Turtle Tactics bring. The main problem is not only just simply JYNXZI Loyals losing those entry fights, going into these late rounds on their defense with a man deficit maybe 1 to 2 times over, but in those executions, even on the attack, they are not able to win it. Players like Hat are being bested by Zonky and players like Dami. That is a phrase that, not to be exactly mean or rude to those players, but with especially the history of these players, something that we did not expect, and something that is an absolute warning sign to JYNXZI Loyals. Because out of everything, we did not think that the main problem, the main deficit for this JYNXZI Loyals team would be the mechanical skill and not being able to shut down those gunfights, but that is what we're seeing here on Clubhouse.
Just the strict coherence of this team. Like, if this does end up being 7-2, which
man,
obviously it's looking likely, you're going to look back at this and you're going to think, was Aiden really the glue holding this team together? Was he the coherence that JYNXZI Loyals didn't realize they needed? Because it feels like this team is just so disconnected from themselves right now. It doesn't necessarily feel as though they're playing as together as you might have seen them within the past few weeks or however long you've been watching this roster, however long it's been around. It just doesn't feel like something that you would have expected from this team. As of now, it feels as though they're doing everything right but doing everything wrong at the exact same time. And that's going to cancel itself out 100% of the time.
Yeah, to potentially finish this first map off, Earl Tactics will be leaning into a very reach-heavy lineup here. They got the both Ace and Therm, but on top of that, they bring in Cali. Out of all players that being Dami, a little bit surprising
Yeah.
on my end, but nonetheless, a really good gun if you're able to hit your shot and have that reaction time. And a lot of respect here from JYNXZI Loyals. Not a necessarily heavy extension from them. They are going to have Nick inside of CC. He's going to be able to potentially apply a little bit of pressure, but just misses his shots on the player in Raptors. But a three-man crossfire.
Wow.
One all the way from Vents, one outside that breach, and one from Millie, who is eventually the player to deal enough damage to take him out. Also holding the cross on this player inside of Raptors. ZYNXZI's able to get another one. That's the player on red. One's creeping up from blue stairs. Hat, he's going to have to retreat because there's just too much pressure for him to play his life. 2 opening kills from Turtle Tactics going completely unanswered. Completely silent to start the round off.
It might end up continuing to be silent, in all honesty. Like, I don't know how JYNXZI Loyals come back from this, and I understand that you're playing with a Nick. I understand that he is a sub. You're not necessarily going to be the most stacked when it comes to playing with him as Hat. I don't know how he didn't hurt Dami even more right then. But at the same time, you have to run a few with Nick every now and then. Hat goes down, and it's a 5-2. Will you even be able to pick him up? Center is going to do his absolute best with Rice watching his back. There are just too many attackers in too many different positions at once. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to stop. Luckily enough, Hat is up. Center. Rice does end up getting millies, though. Hold on now. We could be seeing... Never mind. We could have been seeing a tide turning. 4-2. Rice gets another one. It's down to 10 seconds, though. Hold your angles here, and you might have something brewing. Trev goes down. Hat with a drop shot. 2-2. Wait a minute. 1-2 now. Zonky gets Hat. The Nitro does not hit its mark, and JYNXZI Loyals win. The diffuser doesn't go down. Wow.
Even throughout all of those gunfights of 5v2, Hat is able to prove why he was just on SI on a T1 team, getting 2 huge kills with a drop shot on Ella. What in the 2017 did I just watch? But throughout all of that, it wasn't down to just the kills finishing off. Turtle Tactics not having enough time, not giving themselves enough time for the execution, and weren't even able to pick up the case. Sure, there was a C4 there that did deny a little bit of time, but even if that didn't go off, they still just did not give themselves enough time to even pick that case up. And throughout all of the highlights, all of the pros for that round for Turtle Tactics, they still fell short to a problem that we've been seeing now going on for 3 games, as this is their third, of just not really concerning themselves with that clock, not giving themselves enough time in that execution. We haven't seen it so far, but it is a round that at least costed them a 7-2. A 7-3 is more than possible, but that is going to be a round that will give a lot of momentum and overall just a really good round from JYNXZI Loyals.
I'll agree with that. I feel like it's all about JYNXZI Loyals being able to do what they need to do and what they've been doing properly, and the things that they have been doing correctly have been they've been amplified, so to speak, within the past few rounds. Hat fragging out, it's what you needed to happen from the jump, and it just hadn't been happening. And now he's really picking up some steam. I don't necessarily know if this is what turns the tides back around for JYNXZI Loyals, as Hat is possibly looking for an opening kill here, and he could very well get one if his eyes are in the right spot.
We get HUD back.
Yeah, I was
not the player, but the actual mechanic. Completely isolated. Our observer will go into third person, so I know who was playing there. Playing Scopos will just teleport back down to the bomb site. More than likely won't be teleporting back because one doesn't need to right now. My God, that sound glitch. But more than likely, Turtle Tactics are going to be able to just destroy that. But if they don't destroy that Scopos drone, that gives Hat the potential to flank. And look at that. Turtle Tactics not going out of their way. I don't even know if they know that that drone is there right now.
I don't think they do.
So if he does so choose, he can go for that flank.
Oh, Okay.
Oh, I think we crashed.
Yep, maybe so.
Our observer crashed. Okay.
Oh, nice. All right. Well,
I don't know if it's the entire game. I don't know if the lobby's gone.
put it on
Hopefully the
pause.
players. Honestly, that's. Oh, do we have a second observer? Please tell me
I
don't think we do. That would have been such a great round. They didn't know that Hat had the Scopos in strip.
They didn't. Nope.
He
He didn't shoot a
flanked.
single bullet. He didn't shoot a single bullet. I don't even think they droned him out.
And the thing is, the last matchup. Okay, we gotta go break. I want to yap, but we're gonna go break. We'll be right back. Hopefully. Okay, you know what? We're gonna yap. We're gonna keep yapping.
Let's yap.
Love to yap. The biggest problem last week. Maybe I am a little bit having a Joe Biden moment here, but last game day for Turtle Tactics, their main problem on the attack was not either one, having somebody on those flank drones, or not having a flank operator whatsoever. There'll be a lot of rounds where one, they didn't have somebody watching the flank on the drone, they didn't have a nomad, they didn't have a gridlock, to the point where in his timeout, the one timeout that he took on Night Haven Labs before they lost, his biggest gripe with the problems and struggles of Turtle Tactics midway through that map was just flank after flank. Unks reading into it perfectly. Going into that round, I did not see a flank operator. And if they still have those problems of not watching those drones, not being aware of whether or not there's a defender right behind them as they go for the execution, it could be a really good recipe for a great round and a great flank for a Hat. But we don't have an observer. We don't know. And unless my observer yet again yells at me, we will go to a quick break as we try and fix these problems. Well, a very unsuspecting map 1 as Turtle Tactics beat out JYNXZI Loyals on their own map pick, a map that they previously won 7-2, 7-3. JYNXZI Loyals only getting 1 round on the defense, and their main problem with all the ex-Pro League talent on the team, with all the experience, was ZYNXZI going for an absolute zonker on map 1, going huge, especially in the entry game. And now as we move on to map 2 being Turtle Tactics' own map pick of Bank, it is in a position where it is relatively worrisome if you're not really a JYNXZI Co fan because there's nobody from M80X, but if you're an Asian fan, you're definitely shivering your timbers.
Yeah, I mean, timbers have been successfully shivered after that. 7-3 was the clubhouse score, and it was just, I mean, you wouldn't have expected it. Like, no one thought this was what was going to happen, and now we're all sat here thinking, was Aiden really the glue that was holding JYNXZI Tactics together? 7-3 was Clubhouse's result as we get ready to go now onto Bank, which is Turtle Tactics map. How will Turtle Tactics fare on this map? Like, based off what we saw last map on Clubhouse, I'm kind of expecting Turtle Tactics to come out just absolutely flying here. I mean, this is their map. They're attacking first. A lot could happen. Luckily enough, the time for trolling and the time for talking about it, at the very least, is over. We are hopping straight on into the bans here. JYNXZI Loyals starting on the defense, of course, Turtle Tactics on the attack, and the Montaigne is an interesting ban, I'd say.
Yeah. This is a map that is very interesting, and I really love this team because there's always going to be something in context with a coach like Mint being behind this roster. This is a map that not only has Turtle Tactics not played in the group stage so far, but it is also a map they've banned once versus JYNXZI & Co. They've banned it once, but they've also played it once, which was a win against Outlast Black 7-4. So in theory, this is a map that we have not seen Turtle Tactics play. This is in their vault, something that they've been, to an extent, hiding as they're a newer team. Haven't had a lot of rep days on scrims. You can only hide so much. You're still developing your map pool. But this is a map where they are going to it. VOD reviewing the last time that JYNXZI Loyals went to it and saying to themselves that we saw quite a bit that we think we can take advantage of. And after map 1, I quite agree with that.
Yeah, you're developing your map pool at the same time that you're developing your team. Both of these teams are still within such a cocoon-esque period for the team. Both of them being without key members now and having to figure out what comes after. As of right now, Turtle Tactics have Millie's has fit in just like a glove. He's just fit so perfectly with this team. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, Nick with JYNXZI Loyals is just, I mean, he's kind of just been there for the ride, so to speak, especially throughout that first map. So it's like, one team's rebuild may just end up being a retool if Turtle Tactics continue to be on the high that they are on right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is a very important game if we're looking at the overall scheme of things. If you're not aware, if you get a 2-0 as a team, you get 4 points rather than 3 if it goes to a 2-1. So with Turtle Tactics having 1 point and winning a map in their very first matchup, they can shoot themselves not only all the way to the top of the play-in spot, that being third, but also put themselves in a comfortable spot to potentially go into playoffs. If they are able to finish this very convincingly here on Bank, it is going to put them in a very good spot. Obviously, JYNXZI Loyals will still be in that second seed position because they have two zeros. They have 7 points. It's going to be a position that not necessarily a must need because you already do have that extra point, but it is going to make the games forward for Turtle Tactics just a little bit more comfortable.
It's all about being comfortable with the new setup that you have, in my opinion. Turtle Tactics, of course, now they have Millie's. He feels as though he fits with this team like a glove. But now it's all about being comfortable and continuing to feel the same way that you felt on Clubhouse right then every singular map that you play. At this point, from this point on, they need to continue to be as confident as they were in the 7-3 win on Clubhouse. As of now, they're proving that they know how to move around when it comes to bank attack. Will they be able to keep that up? Only time will tell, but they're holding the appropriate angles, I would say, to start this one off at the very least.
You can see that JYNXZI Loyals continuing to play relatively aggressive on this extension hat, trying to stay a little bit longer in that elevator extension. But now, all 5 players aside from Rice on top blue stairs are on the bomb site. There is a C4, so if a player from Turtle Tactics do overextend to try and deal with Rice's position, they are going to die. And Rice knows this. He knows that he can at least get a trade if he does die and a player tries to aggress at least close. But it doesn't even look like that Turtle Tactics are really applying any pressure whatsoever, any focus on trying to clear him out.
And Millie's doing what he knows he needs to do, what he does best. He's making sure that he can be the disruptor for this attack. He's doing everything that he can. I can only assume that he's going to get some Grim Bees down there here soon. It's up to Dami and Trev, I'd say, as they're getting ready to drop into Vault, and they might actually be able to take one. Zonky also might be able to take Hat off the board, but Hat proves he's got the better gun this go around. 5-4 now is the person's score. Hat gets another one. Spider takes Hat out to end his reign, his double kill. Nick gets 2 though. Passenger no more. Nick doing what he knows he needs to do. A team kill in the middle of that. Center goes down at the hands of his own teammate Asian, but at this point Dami can do nothing but look on as how the tables have turned for JYNXZI Loyals.
Yeah, that's an execution where I really liked the call to, instead of focus for just a bomb site drop, getting that server's control, trying to clear out Rice on top blue stairs. Rather, they're going for a back take, having a player go down marble stairs, have one attempt to drop down elevator hatch, and then have 2 people go down gold. But they just weren't able to not only get the read onto Hat and 2 of his kills. Talked about how he struggled on not only map 1, but even before that, we talked about how he was going to be a very important player. He was going to be one of the key parts of whether or not he showed up, leading to the success of JYNXZI Loyals. Obviously, map 1, we saw that didn't happen on both sides of that spectrum. But it's overall round where just going that execution, Turtle Tactics did not get the best read on those crossfires, and JYNXZI Loyals were able to just play trades and eventually dwindle it down to the last player.
It's all about how you attack the setup that you know JYNXZI Loyals has. It's not something that we had seen to a certain extent out of Turtle Tactics. I mean, they were just overall really, really good on their attack last map. And now it's all about, okay, JYNXZI Loyals now have the round differential lead. And they actually proved very beneficial with everything that they were doing on their defense that last round. So how will you adapt? Will you use your drones a little bit, well, better is not really the word. Will you use your drones to get a little bit more of an upper hand than you might have that last round? Will you go back to the way that you were? Wow, what an angle that was, by the way.
Yeah, that was a really nice angle. And again, I liked a little bit more info coming out here from Turtle Tactics. Not only Spider with those Twitch drones, but more importantly, Millie with that Deimos to apply maybe a little bit of extra pressure. Obviously, the Twitch more prone to getting rid of those mirrors. But relatively heavy but isolated extension here from Hat. Spider just missing all of his shots on that. Not one lick of damage is going to find himself. But Hat not running away from position, not giving up this point of the map. JYNXZI Loyals and Turtle Tactics rather need to read into this. Otherwise, he could yet again get a really good flank. Nick, he's able to hit a couple of shots onto Millies, but not able to just finish him off for now.
Do they know about Dami as well? It's up to Hat to be able to stop Dami from coming up and taking Rick out, and he doesn't. Hat misses his mark, and Dami takes Nick out just like that. Just as I say, I see him creeping up around the back, around behind Nick. He ends up taking him out. A Legion Mine is now in the foot of Trev, but he takes that out pretty quickly. Spider is now back on his Twitch drone as well. He's going to look to take anything that he possibly can out. You do not want to let Hat have that Twitch drone, to say the very least. I actually did not realize that this was the bomb site, but yes, the bomb site is open area, and look at that. Spider sacrificed his drone to be able to take it out with his Twitch drone. It's actually very smart. Hat is now being targeted by Millies. They're going to try to isolate him even more than he had already been isolated.
Yeah, Spider with a really long cross. And yet again, another round where Turtle Tactics have wasted quite a bit of time on their own. Zonky taking a couple of hits of damage from Hat. Another long angle being held by Millie, but they just can't get a line of sight on any players. They can't find an entry point into the bomb site. They need just one kill before they can actually make their way in. All players playing really far back. Both of those nades going out. First player that Millie's going to be meeting is going to be center right around his corner. They should know that. You also have Asian playing really deep by Printer. A lot of unknowns in the drop. It is succeeded, and it's the defenders. It's JYNXZI Loyals. Get an answer back. Playing those crossfires perfectly. Doing exactly what I said they did great in the first round. Even T-Van, munching on a couple of fries, is absolutely enjoying what he's watching.
Shout out T-Van, of course. Man, it's all about, like I said, how will they attack what they know JYNXZI Loyals have set up for them. They're just not doing it properly. They're not doing what they need to do, and they're definitely not doing it well. I can say that at the very least. I did like some of the looks, especially with Dami being that lurker, the one that kind of picks and prods at who might be a little bit further away from the team as he did last round. But I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. And as of right now, it's not going to continue to be enough. They're going to have to solidify their strategy. And as of right now, nothing is set in stone with Turtle Tactics. They're not looking prominent on their attack right now at all whatsoever.
10 seconds insertion.
Yeah, that's now back-to-back rounds where Turtle Tactics just did not have enough information on the bomb site, allowed for JYNXZI Loyals to set up very consistent and strong crossfires that just shut down the round. It just simply came down to those crossfires just mowing down people like a turret inside of a zombie MMO. And even going all the way back before that, you have a situation where JYNXZI Loyals, or not JYNXZI Loyals, but Turtle Tactics just waste so much of their own time, even when they're given plenty of map control, when they get the first pick like they did in the previous round onto Nick. And it's a situation where it's very simple problems where it takes like 20 seconds for, I believe it was Zonky, not Zonky, TrevMac, whoever was on the Twitch. It took 20 seconds for that Twitch to just clear a Mozzie drop. It's these small attention to details that just take so long for Turtle Tactics to just clear and get rid of and problem solve. And it honestly has cost them the very first two rounds.
It has. I'll 100% agree with you. They're just taking too much time on things that don't need that much time, you know, allotted to them. And I will 100% agree with the take that you just made there, as a drone is about to be taken out there. Dami, he's going to do his best to get those barricades open. It only takes him 2 shots there. And now a little bit of extra pressure is being put on to JYNXZI Loyals, but it doesn't necessarily matter at the end of the day. They're going to continue to do what they know has been working for them. And it's just making sure that they stay where they stay put. If the strat calls for one person to be sitting right here on one side of the conference table, or one of them in janitor, then they have been doing exactly what it has been calling for, and it's been working so far. We just need to see if it can continue to work for them. As of right now, I'm not necessarily liking the look of this attack, especially with Zonky being kind of isolated from the rest of his team. I mean, he has Trev there. That's really it. Trev is on a drone as well, so yeah, I mean, he could be an easy kill here if they just pay a little bit more attention to him.
Yeah, a lot of execution utility. It's going to be Zonky to be the very first player to meet JYNXZI Loyals. Asian, though, down below. Could potentially go for the flank if they have enough info on where Zonky is, but it's going to be Had. A phenomenal swing followed up by Rice to get rid of TrevMac. 2 picks, completely uncontested. You also have Spider on an island away from the rest of his team. Didn't fully get that wall open, so he's not going to be able to see where Rice is, and there is no way back into this round, but Spider, he's able to find the head. Dami, another one with the sniper on Cali onto Hat, and here you go. An opening, a potential for Turtle Tactics to win this round, but there's still so much to do. Dami creeping his way up those spiral stairs. He just needs to find where one of these players are. He baits out one.
Oh,
Asian,
man.
though, is able to get the trade. They just need to safely get Dami to try and get this plant down. They know that Asian's inside of the hallway, holding the cross, just waiting, but it's Nick.
Wow.
All the way from Janitors. Not crossing off all of their X's, and yet again, the crossfire is what punishes Turtle Tactics at the end as they continue to not get one round as JYNXZI Loyals. They go flawless 3-0.
Hold your angles. It has been exactly that has kept JYNXZI Loyals in this, and what an interesting JYNXZI Loyals timeout here.
Yeah, I mean,
wow, I don't really know what they could even be talking about.
It also could be a mistake. It might be Turtle Tactics. We don't know. But for right now, we'll assume that it is JYNXZI Loyals that are the one that took the timeout. And going up 3-0, I guess, losing 2 to 3 players, even though you were able to trade that third one even out to a 2v2. That's not a round where I say you need to take a timeout. And I don't think that is around. I really just, in my heart, I'm going to wait for Matthew Tabled Adams to tell me that Turtle Tactics took it, because they don't even have a coach. They don't even have a coach.
Yeah.
JYNXZI Loyals don't even have a coach. Maybe they accidentally took it because they thought they needed to. But even if they did have a coach, it's not around, even with the struggles in that second half, that you needed to take one out. You don't need to talk through. That was still a really great round from JYNXZI Loyals. Just let 2 kills slip by. But again, it is definitely a timeout that Turtle Tactics needed to take, because just beating themselves out to the big 3, not having enough info going in that execution, dying to crossfires, and wasting too much time. Even in the third round, it didn't play much as of an effect.
Wasting way too much time. I will wholeheartedly agree with you on that. It's just not what we've been used to seeing Turtle Tactics do. We didn't see them. I will say we did see them waste some time on their attacks last map, but at the same time they were also on the other side of the coin, at the very least, a attack heavy, like utility heavy. Like, they were ready to go. They were ready to go at all moments and points of the rounds. JYNXZI Loyals were also stalling out on their attacks a lot last round. It's like maybe both of these teams just prefer to go a little bit slower with it. Like, Turtle Tactics have proven that they can play both sides of the ball, but yeah, I mean, it's really biting them in the behind here so far on Bank.
Yeah, luckily we won't have to take a timeout or an observer to leave the lobby. We are back. And also, I did a little bit of research. Not research. I went to Mint's Twitter account, and I talked about how before last game day, they didn't really have any scrim reps or practice. They got 2 days of practice now.
Oh,
That's really good. I think also ZYNXZI was traveling last week, so that was probably another form or another reason why they weren't able to scrim. But again, I think it is, even 2 days of practice, that, sure, it does a lot, but I think it is really just the time, the problems that they saw in last game, because losing 2-0 versus losing in a 3-map best of 1 is a completely different scenario, especially the way that ZYNXZI lost it. There were a lot of great pros. There was a lot of great things that Turtle Tactics did in their matchup last week that we saw allowed them to take the first map 7-3, but a lot of those same mistakes still consistently happening here on Bank, especially in the first 3 rounds.
it comes down to the fact that will Turtle Tactics be able to bring this back from the brink when they go on their defense, or will it just be JYNXZI Loyals all the way till Chalet? I mean, we don't necessarily know what we're going to get until we get it, but yeah, ZYNXZI 0-3, Trev 0-3, like, even Millie's only has 1 kill. I mean, you're seeing a group effort out of JYNXZI Loyals, which it didn't really even feel like this team was playing as a group, so to speak, last map. Now it feels as though they're a lot more stable. It feels as though they're ready and willing at any moment in time at this current point with this specific team, and they're feeling a lot better about it. Nick has his 2, huge 2 that he needed in order to get possibly his confidence back. I mean, so far we've been seeing a lot of good out of the side of JYNXZI Loyals and a lot of bad out of the side of Turtle Tactics, and it's kind of proven itself with the score 3-0 right now.
Yeah, and you can see that after that timeout, Turtle Tactics, they understand that JYNXZI Loyals, they're just going to turtle. they were going to force the attack to go for an execution with a 5-man count. So they're just going to completely lean heavy into that execution utility, bringing not only a Grim, but also a Capitao and that Ying. Ying having a lot of use on map 1. Nick also, yet again, almost first pick. They weren't able to finish that kill off. So that's going to be a missed opportunity, but he's still going to be very low on health. Still a lot of time for Turtle Tactics to work with, but they don't really have a whole lot of info to play off. JYNXZI Loyal is doing a phenomenal job just shooting those drones out.
They're doing such a good job at it because they know that that's what helps them the most on their attack. It's all about just doing what you know is best for the team. Obviously, taking drones out's a big thing. It's something that they lean very heavily into. Asian gets it going here, and Rice gets another one right behind him. We're continuing to see the downfall of Turtle Tactics right in front of our eyes. ZYNXZI does end up getting Nick 4-3. The Candela finally goes off for Dami. Might not have been close enough. Either way, Dami does take Hat out 3-3 now. Whoa, what a kill from ZYNXZI on the center.
Now a 3v2. You lose those first initials. You bait out Asian. A drop down for Bryce. He's able to get one, but ZYNXZI is able to shut it down. He went absolutely huge on map 1, being the key player, not only in the kill department, but also just phenomenally shutting down rounds, doing it yet again here. Showing up big and is able to get Turtle Tactics their very first round in a round where they lost those first 2 entry picks completely uncontested, going into a 3v5. Recovered perfect.
You want to talk about the fact that they needed that? Oh my lord. If they didn't get that and it was 4-0, we could have instantly went ahead and chalked this map up. But now it's 3-1. Now JYNXZI Loyals are kind of second guessing their approach to the defense. And Turtle Tactics are feeling more and more confident in their attack and how they're approaching it. So, I mean, we're in line to have a really good bank here, I'd say. I mean, it was 3-0. Now it's 3-1. Turtle Tactics are looking like they're just more and more on the come up, so to speak. They looked a lot more confident in the way that they were attacking that last round than they had the other attacking rounds for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's just, you know, it's one of those rounds where you need to kind of see what works. You see the ball go through the hoop. Just give yourself a little bit of that confidence. I think that is the round. It's also a round where they just played the gunfights perfectly. They did the exact same prom that they did 3 rounds, wasting a lot of that info, dying to players they just were not fully aware of. Rice getting that first kill over in Garage because the player going in trying to lurk had no idea he was there. They did not drone that position out, at least late. They did earlier on, but then Rice took that position. It was just the simple fact of them not only winning gunfights, but also quite a bit of those defenders on JYNXZI Loyals, more specifically Hat, just isolating themselves, allowing those 1v1s, those 1vx's. So a little bit of difficulty in positioning, but again, just a round where Turtle Tactics took care of it perfectly, and going up to a CO bomb site attack, something that very similarly last time. They're not going to be focusing on that spiral attack, more just playing into this windows, going over by square and stock, trying to take this position back. A much better push, in my opinion.
Much better push. I like the way that they're coming with it now versus how they've been, so to speak. Like, the way that they're setting this up to me feels like they've got a little bit more confidence behind it. Like they're a little bit more weary of how the defenders have played in the past and how they plan to continue to play, as Dami just gets absolutely sniped off the window by center. Hat gets another one onto Spider. Millie trades out for Nick, though. It does seem as though JYNXZI Loyals kind of have Turtle Tactics' number when it comes to the way that they're attacking and just hanging out on the windows like they have been.
Yeah, the problem is that will not be the bomb site. The bomb site is, again, over inside of open area. Losing Spider and Dami so early on, especially with all the utility on the Ying and the Lion, is going to be a lot of missed utility. You are able to eventually get Nick, but Nick's almost first picked every round if JYNXZI Loyals do lose a first pick in that first minute and a half. So it's something more of an expected anomaly there. But again, you still have ZYNXZI with those boogie drones to set up that vertical. You have a lot of time, not a lot, but relatively enough time to set up that info. But again, 4 players, not only a 1-man deficit, but another round where JYNXZI Loyals are going to be able to set up that crossfire. Eventually, you are able to get rid of those mute jammers on the break wall and be able to open that. They hopefully should identify that there's a player over inside printer. They eventually do spot that player. Not going for that same hatch drop inside of open area. More than likely going to try to force the effort over by break. They need to deal with this first player. It's going to be inside of printer. Hat, though, is going to get rid of Zonky. Rice with another one on the Millies. It's all up to Trev Mac, but Rice is good for 2. Even after the very first round for Turtle Tactics, JYNXZI are able to shut down that momentum and at least solidify a 4-2 half, potentially a 5-1.
Potentially a 5-1 is right. I mean, Hat might have actually woke up. He has been the driving factor in the fact that they are up 4-1 right now. Rice has also found his gun in the best way possible. Like, right now is the time that you need your guns to be active. They're awake, I'd say. It's 4-1 now. Rice has 7 and Hat has 6. The exact 2 that you needed to get ready to go off, and here they are. They might have taken a map off, but they're looking to continue the dominance in their play throughout the rest of this to make it 5-1, to maybe even win it 7-1. I mean, anything is possible at this current point in time. They've definitely shut Turtle Tactics' momentum down before it had a chance to get rolling. Will they be able to get any more over onto Chalet? I know it's not over yet, but it's looking like it is. So that will be, obviously it's the deciding map. It's going to be the deciding factor. I just don't necessarily know how that one's going to play. But as of right now, getting back to this, I do like the defensive lineup that JYNXZI Loyals have went for. Spider for Turtle Tactics is on Rooney. No, not a Rooney. Amaru. And Zonky is on Sins. So this is this is their do or die lineup, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, throughout this first half on the attack, Turtle Tactics have really leaned in to the overall ideology of just bringing a lot of utility you can use in the execution to either deny lines of sights from JYNXZI Loyals. Good in theory, has not played out whatsoever because the main problem is dying to crossfires, but also a lot of displacement utility. They won't have the Ying. You're not going to be bringing the Grim this time around, but you do have Spider on the Amaru to quickly enter into the bomb type. So does Shoes, and also has Zonky to kind of take away that line of sight. So this is going to be overall a lineup that is simply focused on just getting into that bomb site, forcing that plant down in a quick fashion without having to get a lot of map control with it. There's a lot of utility, a lot of info on this map. It looks like they might actually just go for it now. Going to be waiting for the call. They understand that it is relatively open, but there's still a lot of utility to deal with.
Look at the castles. They know that they're in it for the long haul. They know that they need to waste the appropriate amount of time. And I will say, JYNXZI Loyals, you guys have had your eyes open to the window gameplay that, wow, what a nitro from Asian. Oh, man. Why wouldn't a jump out have worked there for them? I don't know. They didn't go for it with the 3 people they had on the window, and now it's a little bit more of a reset type moment from Turtle Tactics. The man count is 4-3. You've got a little bit of info right there. If you're Spider, you are in a horrible spot.
Yeah, Spider's on an island. He has no idea what to do here. They have no info on the last players. All they know is that Hat is over inside of meeting, but can't really do a whole lot of that. They need to make sure that they're aware of Azami, that being Nick inside of janitors. They look like they are. It looks like they are somewhat aware of it. So they just simply need to deal with that. Those Sen's gadgets going out. Zonky trying to get the bomb down. You have Spider holding the cross, waiting for that swing. It's going to happen, but it's all going to fall apart. It's all Spider. A 2v3, now a 3v1. One player outside, so he understands he has the ISO on Nick. But it does not matter because Nick is the better one in that engagement. And Turtle Tactics, just like we foretold, will fall down 1-5 on their map pick to start off.
Wow. Goose really being the prophet that he said he was going to be, that he knows he is. 5-1 JYNXZI Loyals. I mean, this was their map. You didn't realize that taking them to bank would be a problem. But here we are now. They really woke up after losing map 1-7-3. I don't necessarily know how Chalet is going to go, but if it's anything like what we're seeing right now, it's going to be all JYNXZI Loyals all the time. But only time will tell at that point. Now Turtle Tactics are on the defense. There has to be a reason why they picked Bank in the first place to be their map, and it could be the defense. Maybe they wanted to start on the attack and try to get like a 4-2, maybe even a 3-3 split. Sadly enough, it didn't end up falling that way, but yeah, this is where they're really going to have to shine in order to try to just... I don't even want to say that it can happen, but I don't want to say that they 2-0 JYNXZI Loyals here. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but the road to redemption starts now if you're Turtle Tactics.
It is possible. It is very unlikely on the same side of the coin. There's a lot of work for Turtle Tactics to do, and, you know, who knows? It could be just a really defender-sided bank that isn't necessarily a crazy thing to say, and it really does just depend on how good Turtle Tactics are able to deny a lot of this time. Yet again, it looks like they're going to be playing very passive, turtling in the bomb site. A lot of execution utility. You have the fires on Dom. You got the you have Spider with that denial. You also have one C4 in the pocket of TrevMax. So plenty of utility for not only Turtle Tactics to deny time, but deny that plant going down. You can see that they brought a Blackbeard, expecting some kind of roam potentially, but it's not going to be there. There's no one there. They even brought a Deimos too. That also just not necessarily even have any effect. Every player aside from potentially Dami being on this top floor. Oof. Rice just getting one onto Zonky though from a mile away. That's the opening pick that JYNXZI Loyals need. They also scan that Legion, that being Millie inside of open area. And with all the pressure, hopefully he will potentially fall back down. But you can see Spider working his way to Marble. They want to try and potentially find a pick before they fall back down, but it's just not going to be possible. Millie dropping down. And essentially, these top two floors have now been cleared.
Essentially, they have been cleared. But at the same time, look at Spider. He's sitting there and he's waiting for his opportunity. He throws the smoke canister out in order to ensure that a little bit more time will have to go off the clock before you decide that it's time to push down main with your Blackbeard and your Deimos and maybe even your Grim. Now you've got the hatches open though, so that's going to make it a lot harder for the defenders to actually stay bunkered down like they have been this entire time. They have lost Zonky, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the world for them as of right now.
No, you still got 4 players. You still got 2 smoke babes in the pocket of Spider. You also have TrevMac with the C4. They just need to set up the crossfires. They need to just make sure that they play these engagements correctly. Something that they have not been able to lock down here on map 2. 45 seconds left on the clock. JYNXZI Loyals still not finding a safe avenue that they want to try to go for. Shooting a couple of those Volcon canisters off. Just wasting a little bit of that utility. This time is just going to continue to drain down more and more, and there's just honestly no clear path that JYNXZI Loyals have to, whether it be just go for that 1-2-3, kill everybody on the bomb site, or try and get this plant down. Center, trying to make his way down Marble.
Oyo got popped.
They have a ping on Millies. They can potentially cut him off if they try to go for the execute. Nick, he's able to jump down and find one. TrevMac and Dami, they go big though, but that bomb goes down. Spider with a third. They see the head though. TrevMac just missing a couple of shots, but Rice, he's able to get out scot-free.
Wow.
They have control of top floor and the hatch, so they can do whatever they want. Whether that be just watch this hatch. It looks like they're going to be rotating over to double up on this coverage. Dami, Spider going for the swing, trying to do anything, just runs right into Asian. A couple of bad shots, but Dami, he's able to find one. Rice though, is Dami aware of this position that Rice is taking? He drops down the hatch though. It looks like he has the read on the Blair and he gets the kill. He has plenty of time to defuse. And Turtle Tactics, they're able to get 1 foot marching as they continue to climb up this hill. It was 1-5, but they're able to get one more and make it just a 3-round deficit.
5-2 now. Do JYNXZI Loyals, at this point, now let's start asking this question. Because we've seen how prominent Turtle Tactics can be on the defense. They showed it right there. Just flying spades. They were really, really, really good on that defense. I cannot lie about that. Do JYNXZI Loyals have what it takes to close this out? You go up 5-1, but look at how prominent Turtle Tactics are on their defense. It's only going to get worse from here for JYNXZI Loyals unless they do what they need to do. This isn't 6-2, by the way. It's still 5-2, which means there's a lot of breathing room for Turtle Tactics here. And if they continue to be as prominent as they have been, it's just going to keep piling up on JYNXZI Loyals. Will they be able to actually close this out?
Yeah, and so far, Turtle Tactics start off and, from map 1, they've been a team that has been consistently decent at recovering rounds after losing that opening engagement. I would be able to give you a hard answer if the stats engine that we're using would work, or if they would hire Rennie again. You don't even got to pay her. She'll take half a McChicken and maybe 2 nuggets from McDonald's and she'll work for you. But nonetheless, JYNXZI Loyals lost that round with the opening pick, something that hopefully shouldn't happen again. They just got really overzealous in a lot of those gunfights. That's also something that you could say on map 2, but at the same time, that's a problem that Turtle Tactics not only are going to read into, but more than likely are going to try and exploit.
And it seems as though the lineup is proving that they might be able to. Look at that. He just gets absolutely blocked by the wall. Asian gets Spider, though.
Free?
Wow, there's just so many nades going in so many different places. Trev takes Nick out. Center, just shoot downwards, buddy.
I have no idea where he is.
Rice
center.
Planting.
He potentially has the good range center. He's right in front of you. You gotta shoot him. He does eventually finish him off. Pad and center. They finish off Millie's Dami also falls down. It's all Zonky left alone. Dokkaebi call ringing out should reveal his position. He's not even able to get one shot onto Hat. Finishes off for the round and gets mat point for JYNXZI Loyals. Correcting their mistakes before, understanding that bomb site was relatively free, almost as free as McDonald Water. They just hook it very quickly.
They have 100% fixed the problems that they've had in the past. Now it's 6-2. Now the pressure is on even more than it was when it was 5-1 or when it was even 5-2. Like, and now the time to go is upon us. Turtle Tactics really need to keep their foot on the gas because now they have zero breathing room. Just the crossfires there were just perfect. The placement could not have been any better, and it's really reigning true that JYNXZI Loyals are they're just them. They're just him on bank as of right now. And will it continue over onto Chalet? I don't know. But as of now, JYNXZI Loyals are proving that they're here to play, and that the 7-3 on Clubhouse might have just been a mistake.
Yeah, it might have been an anomaly, and I'm not speaking about Jason Tatum. I'm speaking about losing map 1. And we talked about how on map 1, the reason that JYNXZI Loyals were not able to win or even shut down rounds was due to the simple fact that they just were being beat out in those gunfights, especially those entry fights. But that's something that is completely flipped. That's something that we cannot say. JYNXZI Loyals players like Rice and Hat have been going absolutely huge, shutting down players. Zonky, after having a phenomenal map 1, is quiet, almost silent as a mouse. After the second round, or actually after the 4th round, getting 3 kills, he has not gotten one more. Has not been another player aside from Dami that stepped up, and this has been a problem that, as of now, Turtle Tactics do not have an answer to patch.
I like the extra utility that Turtle Tactics are bringing out here, though. They've got the Maestro for one of the first times in this, and maybe that, I'm not going to say that's all you need, but it's definitely going to be a tide changer if you end up being able to use it properly. Now, on the opposite end of that, Rice went Brava. That's the most definite counter to Maestro that there is, but Spider is going to have to be very mindful of his Maestro cams and if they get hacked or not, because that could end up turning the tide of the round in the absolute worst way. As Millie gets spotted out there, he now knows that he has to rotate out, and maybe he can end up getting an angle on to one of them in there if they did end up hopping in, which I think they might have. And look at that. Maestro cam gets hacked. It's just as simple as that. Shield goes out now. Asian, it's really up to him now.
Yeah, center going out with a couple of these smokes. Hopefully they can potentially force Rice in to get that plant down there. A lot of info in the pocket of JYNXZI Loyals. Not only their default drones, the plethora of yellow pings on these defenders, but also now almost, you got to go back, Rice. That more than likely will be 2 Maestro cams.
Yeah,
the control.
I think he got it.
Of JYNXZI Loyals, but they still haven't found a way to clear out these players. Player inside of Janitors, player over by top Marble, and still no way to really push these players out. Until they fully push them out, they can't really do anything. Yet again, just teasing that plant rather than going for that site drop. They're going to be just simply opening that wall. TrevMac using the smoke to his advantage, make his way a little bit deeper into sight. They have droned out that nobody's inside of Janitors, but they know where he is. Asian and Hat with huge 2 big kills. Couple of shots on ZYNXZI, not enough to take his life. 20 seconds though, this timer is starting to play a factor. There goes TrevMac. Spider with another one.
Whoa.
Reloads the mag, make that a double. Spider, and now it's all a 1v2 Asian left alone. No idea, no time, doesn't have the bomb in his pocket. And that little rat strategy from TrevMac paid off dividends, as just for now, Turtle Tactics are going to stall off that map 2 win from JYNXZI Loyals.
It ended up working out in their favor at the end of the day. I loved the fact that they had to go a counter pick in order to stall for a little extra time. You had to go Brava in order to take care of the Maestro, which meant that the Maestro was left alone. He knew that he didn't have very many cams left that he could control, if he even had one left at all. And it came down to the fact that he rotated around, and he ended up being the instrumental factor in what helped Turtle Tactics win that one. I'm not saying it's 100% off the table. Their foot is still on your neck, but Turtle Tactics are proving that they've still got life left here. Look, what an insane double from Spider there. He proved dividends for them right then. His cams were off the board. He knew that he wasn't being focused as much anymore at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think it's just those micro plays. Having a player go huge like TrevMac, it's not necessarily that he got those 3 kills. Might have been even 4, I'm not exactly sure. But it's the position that he got them in, denying that plant, and then just completely shutting down that execution. 3 rounds in a row is what is required. What we need out of the squad being led by Mint in the shadows. Are they going to have it? That's a great round, but you need a lot more than just one great round. And we've seen JYNXZI Loyals, after losing a round, they've been able to give out those adaptations. Yet again, doubling up on that info with the Grim and the Deimos. Also bringing a lot more of that execution utility to shut down those lines of sights from the defenders at center on Sens. So far, it looks like that JYNXZI Loyals understand the mistakes, the lack of needed utility they had, which allowed for a play like TrevMac to happen. But again, it just comes down to whether or not they can execute it.
Yeah, they need to be able to execute better. They need to be able to capitalize on their own mistakes, fix what wasn't working. It's just as simple and as plain as that. You still have your foot on their necks in the 6-3 scoreline, but if there's a team that's going to be able to come back, a team that has proven that they have had your number so far, it's Turtle Tactics. I mean, I asked the question, can they close it out? As of right now, it's not looking as likely as we might have thought, as Dami is now stuck. Hat has his scope pointed straight at him. But at the same time, ZYNXZI might actually be able to see that and come with a little bit of extra backup for his teammate. Not necessarily sure if that's what's going to end up happening here, but Dami knows that he cannot swing him right now.
That Hat has the read on the player. Doesn't have 100% info, but he doesn't need it. He knows that. Dami is here.
Hatch isn't popped. He knows that.
Hatch isn't popped also, yeah. This is a position where they can play it really good. ZYNXZI's trying his best to support his teammate. Eventually, though, Dami will drop down that nade, pushing him out. So they're not going to be able to get that easy pick. A really good read from Turtle Tactics to understand that they don't need to try and sacrifice a player and over-force those engagements early on.
He ended up being able to help his teammate out of a pickle now. And here, it's all up to Hat to continue with his Twitch drones going down. He might have unintentionally kind of blocked Asian off there, but that does get that 20 seconds of fire off the board as fast as possible, aka right now. Trev looking to get naded out here. He does take half health. That Goyo didn't pop? I don't know. I feel like that's happened to me a few different times. Oh, the canister!
Oh, you missed it!
Oh, so that hatch is open now, and look.
Yeah.
Rice is going to get the little corner open as well. They're looking for a quick little execute here, especially with center above.
It's an extra 15 seconds that could have wasted, but it's an opportunity that JYNXZI Loyals are more than going to take. But Millie with a nice headshot onto Nick. Over swing center is able to get that refrag, but with 2 smoke babes, the fires from the Vulcan canisters.
Yep.
Rice can't get this
They don't
bomb
have time.
down. There's 15 seconds. He's just going to have to run through the dirt, run through the
He did.
trenches. He finds a safe spot. He's able to get that plane down, but a nice snipe
Nope.
from TrevMac, and that's the bomb. 2 seconds left on the clock. They're not going to be able to
can't.
get it. JYNXZI Loyals, they lose in Turtle Tactics.
Oh my God.
They keep the dream alive. Another round, 2 back-to-back for them, as they just stand 2 away from sending us into overtime.
It's becoming more and more possible. And you wouldn't have expected it, but the way that JYNXZI Loyals attacks have just been breaking down right in front of them. It's just everything that has been going right for Turtle Tactics, it's been going right in absolute spades, flying colors. They're keeping the correct people alive. They're making sure that their strategy doesn't fall apart. And when it comes to JYNXZI Loyals, their strategy is falling apart right in front of their faces. And with the exact specific operators that are still left on the board, like the Smoke, who could have easily been killed earlier in the round, it's just, there's nothing left for you to be able to do at that point. You got lucky with the hatch. You got lucky with the fact that that pushed ZYNXZI back to where you could get the wall open at that point. But you still had the Goyo fires that were there. That's 20 seconds guaranteed that you have to either run through or just wait out. And at that point, they couldn't wait it out. And then you also still had the last smoke canister coming through. It all fell apart in the worst way. Even earlier in the round, it just wasn't going JYNXZI Loyal's way from the jump, it felt like. And now it's becoming even more of a possibility that Turtle Tactics come back.
Yeah, I mean, it is plays like those where you really just gotta love Siege. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I love Siege, because like with all that setup, everything going the way of the hatch, having 40 seconds, just not being able to waste your utility. And if Turtle Tactics are able to continue to force these rounds into really late executes with 15 to 10 seconds and use this utility, obviously you're not going to have the Goyo on board. You still do have TrevMac. You also have ZYNXZI and Spider to just slow down the attack a little bit, but Rice taking a lot of early map control in the basement isn't going to necessarily have a whole lot of use, so just give him a little bit of peace of mind that there's nobody down there. Spider, though, inside E-Box, he couldn't get the entry on the Asian. He is able to find that. Looking for potentially a second. Gets a couple of shots onto Hat. Isn't able to finish it off, and there he goes.
Oh my
Spins
God.
back around the block and is able to shut down Rice. Hat has an idea that there's a player inside of Tellers. Whether or not he knows it's ZYNXZI, he doesn't know the position. Spider with a triple in the round. Hat, you've got to be careful. Millie snipes him from downtown. Center with a kill on the Spider. Eventually, he's going to end his hot streak here in this round. Minute and 30, Center is just sitting. He knows what's in front of him. He knows how difficult this task is, how tall the mountain is to climb. He's going to inch his way forward at bottom square. Just look for any bit of anything. He's going to have to try and potentially bait this plant down. Maybe go and get a couple of kills, but looking for somebody in Tellers is just simply not there. Not only does he not have the bodies, he doesn't have the time or the info either.
Wow.
Tries to hold the angle to push out Trev, but it's the better of the round. And now we're just one round away, potentially, from Turtle Tactics recovering and sending us into overtime. There is a point in time for somebody to take a timeout. If I was not Gaslit and it was Turtle Tactics, this is the time for JYNXZI Loyals to do it, but they're choosing not to.
Honestly, I don't know what else I can say. Like, I don't see how JYNXZI Loyals continue to let everything crumble right in front of their faces and do absolutely nothing about it. Strategies aren't working. The op lineups aren't working. Even the positioning isn't working. Turtle Tactics are, just like we said last map, as of now in these past few rounds here, they're back to being one, maybe even two at this point, steps ahead of them. They're in the spots that JYNXZI Loyals are about to be in, and they're just pre-fire kill, boom. It's as easy as that. Like, Turtle Tactics have really put their foot back on the gas. JYNXZI Loyals are still 6-5 right now, but all it takes is one more defensive masterclass from Turtle Tactics. This is their map. This is what we could have thought that we were expecting. JYNXZI Loyals goes up 5-1. You think, oh no, it's a wash. Definitely map 3. Now the possibility is real. They're pulling out all the stops, and every singular stop has been working in spades for them, as it's now 6-5.
No, did center lag out? Please tell me that center didn't lag out. Doesn't matter.
Whoa!
Millie's gonna take Asian's head off. Clean
Oh my
off his
God.
head. And center's gone.
Oh my god.
That is a 5v3 for Turtle Tactics. You still have Hat and Rice on the board.
Oh,
Nick
no.
also can do quite a bit of damage on his own. But that's essentially 2 opening picks.
Oh my god.
And also, oh no,
wait,
okay,
no,
center's fine.
he's
Okay,
drawn
center's
it.
fine.
Woo,
Okay.
thank the Lord.
You still got the opening pick though. I mean,
Yeah,
that is really big,
wow.
especially out of all players, getting rid of that Flores who can clear so much utility without forcing a player like Hat to go out of his way. You don't have any Gone 6s. You don't have any other explosive utility. So a lot of this on-site utility that is going to deny space taking from JYNXZI Loyals is just going to stay there. There's no way for them to get that off. It is going to make this round tenfold harder.
It is. It's already proving to be difficult. Like, Rice is now down to 1 singular Brava drone, and he didn't get the Maestro cam with it. So he only has a little bit more leeway with that last drone before problems start to arise, and Maestro actually does get maximum value at that current point in time. Rice also has the diffuser. You need to make sure that you keep him as alive as you possibly can. Center, luckily enough, he's back, but is he having lag problems? We don't necessarily know. Obviously, he was there for a minute. Rice does not get the second Maestro cam. They were ready for it this time. They weren't as ready for it last time, but either way, an EMP, well-placed EMP, does end up making it shootable. So, doesn't end up working for the attackers. Can't work for the defenders anymore now.
JYNXZI Loyals, they don't really have any entry point. They're just going to force a lot of this execution utility. Hat has a crossfire that he thinks is useful. Still having those Maestros on deck to give info, whether it be TrevMac or an additional player. No other push. They're just going to be forcing themselves through these windows, hoping that these crossfires are strong enough to deny any defender from denying this bomb from going down. A C4 from TrevMac, and it hits the mark. It doesn't take the life, but it downs, and that's the planer gone. We're gonna have to send another player in. Dommy's able to get 1. Zonky with 2. It's Nick Lone in the 1v5, and the impossible task has been done. We're going to overtime, Ace.
Flawless round. They said, let's stop playing. Just stop playing with me on bank. That you know the comms are flowing as perfect as they have been. And look, starting OT, they start attack. This has to be some sort of calculation, I will say. This is their map. They probably had something like this picked out. They're starting defense on overtime. Yes, they went down 5-1 because they were on attack first. They said, let's go ahead and get the attack out of the way because they knew their prominence on the defense. Now they start defense where they have been so hot and are looking to continue their dominance on this map.
4-2-1/2 split for both teams when they find themselves on the defense. And out of the 3 rounds, if we need a third one, if necessary,
wow, 2
of those rounds, Turtle Tactics will be able to defend. JYNXZI Loyals, they need to change something up, whether it be bringing a different operator. Doesn't look like we'll be seeing that center falling off of that Ying. Asian bringing a Jackal. Nick falling into that Dokkaebi. As you said, interesting, because I don't necessarily think that is the play. We've seen that Turtle Tactics is not a team that overstays their welcome. They don't try and force those gunfights when they understand they need to fall back. They understand that pacing quite well. Sure, there is a relatively heavy extension, so at least in this first half, those info operators on Asian and Nick are going to be able to find quite a bit of useful info, but as soon as they start feeling a little bit of pressure, those defenders are going to fall right back down to the bomb site.
Yeah, I feel like they might have needed to go a different direction with it. Like, yes, your attack was becoming stale. You were keeping the same operators, but maybe you picked the wrong one here. I'm not necessarily sure if I agree with the Jackal pick. The Dokkaebi pick, yes, that can definitely prove useful. But Jackal and Ying, I mean, Ying obviously is useful wherever she goes. But yeah, I don't know if this is going to end up panning out the way that they want it to. I hope it does, but you know, anything's possible.
Yeah, Millie and Zonky both doubled up on this hatch inside of open area. This is a position where they either one want to potentially get a kill, and if one of them falls down, they can trade, or both of them just quickly drop down. They don't have to worry about losing a player whatsoever. Center also on Ying shotgun. Again, a lot of questionable decisions on this overtime side switch.
I take back what I said now. Ying shotgun, oh man. Oh, I honestly don't know how this is going to go. Like, you're going to have to catch one of them off guard for sure to make that shotgun work.
And they're also taking a little bit of time to get these hatchets up, and exactly what I said before. Every player on Turtle Tactics has now fallen down to the bomb site, not being able to use either the Jackal tracks or the Dokkaebi calls.
Nothing.
Sure, you've only used one of them on both Asian and Nick, so you're still saving that utility, but you should relatively know where these defenders are playing. It's going to come down to whether or not you can clear this utility like the Vulcan canisters. If Millie is able to deny this hatch for just long enough, and he has two in his pocket. One of them is going to take 15 seconds. He has another one, so that's at least 30 seconds that he can waste on that hatch alone. This is going to force JYNXZI Loyals to decide if they want to go for a different take. That last two-barrel canister is going to be used, no longer in his pocket. They do have this wall soft inside of A, so they're going to be able to potentially force Rice to go for this default plant. Smoke Babes, that utility ringing out from Turtle Tactics. JYNXZI Loyals are wasting it a little bit sooner, but you still have two Smoke Babes. Now only shooting one of those Vulcan canisters.
You're going to make them have to run in again.
The board. You're going to have to run in. With 5 players on Turtle Tactics, it's all going to fall down to a rush. Whether you can time this correctly. Now just 5 seconds. You need to try and get that bomb down.
Ying shotgun.
Drop from center. He's able to find one center with another. Asian, though, he goes down. And they fall to time.
Wow.
The exact same problem they had in regulation. And Turtle Tactics, after falling down 5-2, they not only have a lead, but they have map and series point, a potential to get a 2-0 on JYNXZI Loyals, who currently hold the first seed in the TPL Group.
Is this what meme format? This what losing Aiden Tax does to a MF? Come on, man. How is this happening? Hat, I used to look up to you, man. I mean, you have 10 kills, but come on. How is this happening?
Silent.
It literally has. Like, he hit that 10. I believe he was 10-5 or 10-6.
Yeah.
Nothing but straight death. And Rice, I believe he might have gotten 1 or 2. I think he was either on 10 or 9 as well. So it's like, unbelievable. I really don't know what else to say. Turtle Tactics have to win 1 attacking round to even it out, to win it. Yeah. But see, here's the thing. It was 5-1. So do you tap into what you had to tap in to get that 1 back then now?
The craziest part of me is not the deficit. It's not the caliber of players. It's that Mint decided not to take a timeout, leaving his team in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Let them figure it out themselves.
Allowing them to either swim or drown, and so far, Turtle Tactics, they have decided to swim as if they are Michael Phelps.
Literally.
JYNXZI Loyals, they'll fall back down onto this basement bomb site, the exact same bomb site that Turtle Tactics just defended. But a less aggressive hold on this top floor, giving Turtle Tactics a plethora of time to not only clear, but then set up. Already getting a Vulcan canister, clearing all of this utility. Turtle Tactics, even with Turtle in their name, they are moving at the speed of a rabbit. It is absolutely phenomenal. And I think a lot of this...
Oh!
No! And center lags out.
He finally lags out.
A 4v5. Everything. The stars are aligning for Turtle Tactics.
Will they get the win strictly based off of that? I mean, we had a good idea that center was dealing with some lag issues, especially when we almost saw him lag out. I think it was round before last. Hat, you were getting so hurt by standing up there. He hurt Millie's. He might be able to get the nitro here, and he does! Hat gets Millie, and it's 4-4. You have a chance now. Oh, but Trev Mack takes Rice out. It's
Yeah.
looking more and more likely. Asian makes sure that ZYNXZI doesn't see the light of day for the rest of this round. Hat is still so hurt. His first kill in like 2 or 3 rounds at this point. It literally could go any way, and Center was still alive before he left. Let's not forget.
A minute on the board for the attack to work with. Asian and Nick, full HP. Hat, you can't really say the same for him. There's no clear path. They don't have 100% info. Spider may be aware of this lurk from Nick, but rather, he's going to go over to gold. Nick still holding this position. Waiting for potentially either a player to come, but it's Asian to shut down Trev Mack. A 2v3. Dami and Spider completely disconnected. Spider down elevator hatch. Dami has to choose if he wants to drop down here. Try and isolate a kill. He needs something. Absolutely anything. Spider inside of garage is going to be the answer. Shutting down Asian. Nick and Hat completely disconnected. On 2 sides of the table. One inside of gold, one inside of elevators. Dami's going to drop down. They know that one player is over inside of gold. They have relatively good info. They have 10 seconds. Nobody swinging to either of these players. Dami needs to try and get this bomb down. Holding the cross. They get one onto Hat. Swings onto Nick. Isn't able to find it. Nick, he needs to play the time. And he does. He gets the kill onto Dami. And we're going the distance. 7-7 for JYNXZI Loyals. Throughout all of the rounds, Hat has been the last one alive quite a bit of times, but he has not been able to finish the job up until now, at a point where it almost matters the most.
Wow. I cannot believe that. And now, Turtle Tactics didn't close it out, so Center is now allowed to come back into the game here and play this very last this very last round for JYNXZI Loyals. They're going to make it 5-5 again. Hopefully he doesn't have any more lag problems, or else Turtle Tactics may take advantage. I don't know. Like, they didn't have Center there, and they still ended up winning by the skin of their teeth. Unbelievable.
Yeah, sadly, just like a mid-season break in broadcast or a TV show, we're going to be going to a quick technical break as we sadly have to rehost. But after a short time and after I go use the bathroom, we will be back for the last round, and what could potentially be the last round of this series. Don't go anywhere far. Welcome back to Map 2. It's Playday 5, Week 2. It is JYNXZI Loyals versus Turtle Tactics. If you're now just joining us, Turtle Tactics won Map 1-7-3. Now on their own map pick after going down 1-5, have made a historic underdog comeback here on Bank. Now on 7-7. Last round, Turtle Tactics, they go down, they defend. My guess, either open area or if they want to, potentially throw in a wild card and go tellers, but more than likely open area.
More than likely open area. I said it best myself just a minute ago before we came back on. They're going to have to go somewhere that they're most confident, somewhere that they know that they have beaten JYNXZI Loyals once already, as they have been on their defense for quite a while now. They ended up taking the attack downstairs last round, where it was 6-7. Now it's 7-7. Of course, JYNXZI Loyals won that one. And yeah, when it comes to the defense, the prominence has been on display for Turtle Tactics. They're proving to us why Bank was their map pick. And now, even after they lost center, they still won that last round 7-7. That's why we rehosted. And now it's all up to JYNXZI Loyals. They have to get an attacking round here. It is proving to be very difficult to do that, though, as they were up 5-1 and now it's 7-7.
Yeah.
Open area, you said it best yourself. This is where they feel the most comfortable and where they think that they can get another defensive win off of JYNXZI Loyals.
Throughout 14 rounds so far, regulation and overtime, there's been 2 attacking wins, one for each team.
Wow.
Last round, Turtle Tactics, they get to defend. They go over an open area just like I was told. Didn't use that timeout, so they didn't want to go into tellers. They have not only a lot of denial with TrevMac and Zonky, but they also have Spider to deny a lot of that info. This time around, JYNXZI Loyals are going to be really focusing on just trying to clear that space up top, ringing center on the Blackbeard, also having that Dokkaebi with her calls. They want to try and get as much map control as early and fast as possible.
Will they be able to, though, is the question, because you've got the Malusis, you've got the Fenrir's, you've got the Smokes. You may even have the roaming Warden that takes 1 or 2 away from you as fast as you get them. Like, it's all about... they don't. Exactly. It's all about making sure that you can execute properly. And right now, the defenders look as though they're lined up perfectly to stop something like a Blackbeard or even a Ram. And luckily enough, Center and Nick are those 2 main attackers right there.
You don't have that Flores that Center played previously. Already somehow wasting one of his nades, not entirely sure where the first one went. But the only explosive utility you have to get rid of this defender utility is just 1 nade in the pocket of Center. Dami taking so much health early on.
It's not what you needed.
Missed the shots, though. He is going to be able to revive and actually gain a little bit of health. A very missed opportunity there from the player holding all the way from windows. Keep in mind that being Hat. But you are able to push that player out of his extended position and get him very low. But you still have to worry about the position, that being in tellers. Are they going to be able to drone out Zonky? They are. Zonky also sees the drones, so he is aware that they know his position. Minute and 20 on the clock. Nick starting to set up this vertical. Going to fully push Zonky back into the bomb site. Yet again, Turtle Tactics playing to their name, choosing to turtle up. A C4 from Spider is going to take Asian off the board for the very first pick in the round. Losing a lot of utility. They're going to have to waste the ace to get that hatch open. You're not going to be able to get break wall open. It's going to be another point of the map, another crossfire that JYNXZI Loyals are not going to be able to create. You get a little bit of info on Dami, but they still need to find a way into the bomb site. Crossfire being set up, more than likely expecting this drop on hatch. Wanting them to fall into this crossfire, but Rice going down marble stairs. Looks like they're switching up, just going to be flooding through beepers into the bomb site. Center being that spearhead. Nick, he is able to get the refrag on a Spider, even if it is really late in the round.
Center's inside.
Center in the bomb site. Trying to look for a position to try and get this bomb down, but there's a player down below flanking. Rice, he's able to shut down Zonky. Center with another one. Millie, he's able to get it, but it's Rice and Nick to finish it off. And even through overtime, even with the 5-1 comeback, JYNXZI Loyals, they are able to finish it off and send us on to map 3 of Chalet.
The third attacking round 1 throughout the entirety of this match so far, or the entirety of this map so far, comes in the most clutch time that it needed to come in. JYNXZI Loyals just capitalized on what they saw there. They had a pretty good idea. I can only assume that it was going to be open area. You got to know where your opponent's most comfortable. And at the end of the day, it's exactly what needed to happen. Everything fell perfectly for JYNXZI Loyals to actually win another attacking round. Oh, I hope you're strapped in for this one, ladies and gentlemen, because at the very end of the day, we've got map 3.
Yeah, and if you are a fan of rolling schedules, or if you're a rolling schedule enjoyer, or if you're a T-Van, you're really kicking yourself in the back. You got a whole entire another map. That's map 2. And even my producer was preparing us for end of series. No, we got Chalet still.
Yep.
And there is a lot of problems. There's a lot for not only Turtle Tactics to talk over a team. I'm sure Mint also has quite a bit to say himself. They're going to be able to take that chance going into Chalet. But that's all we have for you, at least right now. We're going to send to a quick break before we go to officially our last map of Chalet. Don't go anywhere far. Welcome back, everybody, to the Turtle Tactics versus JYNXZI Loyals. You saw map 2. We're now going on to map 3 over a max OT 8-7 victory. Turtle Tactics winning JYNXZI Loyals' first map. Then JYNXZI Loyals going on to win their opponent's map. It can't get better than this. and now we go on to Chalet.
It's exactly what you want if you're an enjoyer of the sport. If you were locked in from the jump and you were ready to keep watching, you wanted more of these two teams. Now is the time. The time is now. We've got map 3 coming up. It's Chalet, of course. Map 2 was an absolute banger, one of the best maps of Bank I've ever called. And here we are now, Chalet. It kind of rounds back to what I was saying on Clubhouse. This is more of like a default. Everyone scrims on it. It's very easy to find scrims on it type of map. We're going to have to see. JYNXZI Loyals are starting on the defense. We're going to have to see if they can continue some of their prominence that won them the last map, or will Turtle Tactics just be too much to overcome, just like they almost were at the end of last map?
Yeah, and going into this map, both teams have played this once. Fun fact, this is the only map win that Turtle Tactics have so far. They won it 7-5 against Karn & Co.
Will they be able to win it again is the question. They beat Karn & Co on it. This was their only map, singular one that they had won coming into this. So that means that they're a little bit more rehearsed on it, so to speak, I'd say. And now it's all about, you got to pick the momentum back up right where you left it off when it was 8-7, or not when it was 8-7, when it was 6-5 and you were pushing OT. Actually, you were pushing a win until JYNXZI Loyals pushed it to OT. So you really need to tap back into that here as we get ready to start off on Chalet. If they can continue to actually keep the pressure up and keep it going, I'm not necessarily sure if they can or not, but I mean, we saw how it was 5-1 on Bank. JYNXZI Loyals, they looked tapped in, they looked ready. And of course, that then meant that it was time to swap sides. And when it came down to it, Turtle Tactics, they were going and going and going, and they were almost gone to a point where they brought it back to 6-5. It came down to the absolute wire. JYNXZI Loyals fighting tooth and nail back and forth with them. Now I've got my co-caster back. What are you thinking coming into this?
Did you hear my last point about Chalet?
You were talking about Karn & Co. That's all you said. That's the last thing that you said.
So Turtle Tactics won 7-5 on Chalet against Karn & Co. That's their only map win. JYNXZI Loyals, they also have a win on Chalet. The only problem is it was a 7-0 against Outlast Black. And sure, I guess you could argue Karn & Co. is a better team than Outlast Black, but I think, honestly, in my opinion, that match is relatively evened out. So this is a matchup that both teams relatively like. But at the same time, so far in recent history, they have been better on Chalet. But at the same time, Turtle Tactics have been a completely new team here today on all ends of the spectrum.
They have shown that the O2 that they're currently sitting at is not what tells the entire story. Out with the old and in with the new, as they've got Millies, and he has been proving beneficial, to say the least. He didn't have the best map when it comes to Bank, but now we're here. We're on Chalet. Deimos, Blitz, Azami, and Valkyrie are our bans. Azami and Valkyrie are very, very, very standard for Chalet. Blitz and Deimos, however, are interesting. I feel like they kind of went back and forth there picking against their enemies, and now it all comes down to this. This is where you put up or shut up, so to speak. This is map 3. Neither team is getting 4 points out of this, so it's all coming down to who is the better team overall at the end of this.
Talked about that earlier on how were able to shut this out over on Bank. They would put themselves in a really good position. They put themselves over the Unks that they just played last week. But for at least now, they'll be tied. The Unks obviously still have games to be played. So that is still gone. But you still have an opportunity to get 3 points on the board, 4 total with your one map win in their very first game. But again, we spoke about how they did so good on Clubhouse. Even with a 5-1 comeback, an 8-7, honestly, that last round was a toss-up. If those players on the execution played a little bit better, it could have been a 2-0. But there were still a lot of consistent problems that led them going down 5. Whether or not JYNXZI Loyals had problems of their own, there's still problems that Turtle Tactics need to worry about.
There are a lot of problems that Turtle Tactics needs to worry about. Will they be able to get the job done here, though? We see that they're now starting on their attack. Their attack hasn't been very prominent. I would say that neither attacks have been very prominent.
Yeah.
But JYNXZI Loyals did win 2, and Turtle Tactics won 1 when it comes to bank. So I think JYNXZI Loyals are a little bit, just a tad bit more adept on the attack. But now they're on the defense, so we'll have to see if they can actually keep up their momentum and how they played well on the defense last time out.
Turtle Tactics bringing out. Shout out to Domi for bringing out that. Nomad. I talked about how that was their biggest problem last week, and even in the week before, just not having somebody to watch those flanks or having an operator to shut those flanks down, like Domi is playing right now. It is very important. Obviously, there's no real flank potential here. All 5 players on JYNXZI Loyals are going to be on this top floor. As Turtle Tactics also look to potentially execute and take space over by top Solarium. And with that rotate hold, there is potential. But 3 players very close to this position is going to make it difficult.
They're sitting heavy on the defense. They're doing what Turtle Tactics love to call themselves doing, and they're turtling in. Center! He pushes out at the exact correct time and takes Domi out. Only 1 air jab goes. Double kill for Center. Asian goes down at the hands of Trev. The diffuser is still on the board. No more sins in the pocket of Millies, though. Spider was frozen, and now he's not as well. A little bit more of a reset now here for JYNXZI Loyals.
Yeah, I mean, difficult scene here. Not only do you lose 2 players versus 1, but you also don't have that vert. They spot only 1 player on the bomb site, so they understand that their best win percentage here, their best win chances to just ISO center, or not center, but Rice rather, try and get this plan down, even with the heavy coverage above. They want to take that chance, something that they would rather take. Clearing Millies, though, loses his life as Center makes his way downstairs. Rice with 2 kills. They line up perfectly like a collateral MW2. It's JYNXZI Loyals to take the very first round.
JYNXZI Loyals take the very first round, and we're looking more and more like, even though it is still only 1-0, the way that that round played out, it looks like we could be en route to another 5-1. Turtle Tactics just didn't seem very prominent on their attack at all. Nothing specifically stood out to me at all whatsoever on that attack.
And that is a very poor way to start it. Just having a huge blind side like center with essentially a 2-man crossfire, having 1 player on that double window, another one propelled in to top Solarium. It's a position where you had the time to just drone the extra distance to make sure that center did not push up as far as he really did. And because of that small little detail mid-round, that's something that even I talked about last week. Also another problem. Happened a little bit on bank and not too much. Of them just not really being aware of those small players in really crucial power positions, just like center was. They also had problems previously when they played Chalet on this top mez position. If they continue to just allow these players in really powerful and important positions that they need to push out and make sure they're just sit there, unbeknownst to them, it is going to be a problem that is not only going to continue to replicate, but it's going to purposely be replicated, because that's a problem that JYNXZI Loyals can read in.
It is, and it's a problem that JYNXZI Loyals very clearly read into on round 1. It was just the isolation and the communication from Turtle Tactics was nowhere near what it needed to be. Why was Nomad in all alone by herself? How did she allow herself to get just poked and prodded right there and taken out by center first? And then another kill came very quickly on someone who wasn't even looking in the direction of the defender. It's like they weren't playing as a unit right there, and they need to get a lot better about doing that. They weren't really even playing too much as a unit, so to speak, on bank very much, and they really just need to get back to it as Spider, rightfully so, shooting Asian's body because he should have won that.
Yeah, that is, you can even see how low Spider is in health.
Wow.
Asian, you cannot lose those.
How?
And you lose that entry pick. Not going to lose a whole lot of utility. You only got 3 Frostbats and a shield. All 4 of those are being placed already. But halfway in the round, that's a lot of space and time that potentially could have been wasted. That's just off the board. Couple of flashes going to push back. Hat isn't going to fully remove him from his position because he still has Rice on top Mez to worry about. Tommy has a really clear line of sight onto where he is playing, but they don't have enough info. They don't have a clear space or any utility to push these 2 players out. Extends gate will come out, allowing for Dami to push out, but they're not aware of Nick. Yet again, another player who's in a crucial position. He's on top blue. How did you not clear that? For all my yelling, though, Spider is able to consolidate, get a pick on a center, but with Spider so low on health, they have a ping on Rice on top Mez. They have essentially a 2 to 3 man crossfire. They just can't get the shots onto him. They're going to need a player to aggress onto him. Still a shield right in front of him. It's going to be so difficult to do. Little to no opportunities here in this round. And they need to create something. Rice does lose a little bit of damage as he rotates back down. He gives that position away. Was so low on health. Rice just absolutely domes the waist to Spider. TrevMac needs to try to get one. Zonky is able to finish off Rice eventually, but nobody's on this top floor. They've all vacated this.
Diffuser needs to go
try and make their way into the bomb site. Misses the headshot. Zonky just running through, trying to find the player. He isn't able to find it. Hat gets the better. Nick finishes off. And JYNXZI Loyals, even after losing that opening pick, they still take a 2-0 lead.
Hat is just better sometimes. He's really proving why he is who he is. The amount of experience this man has. I mean, he was on a main stage not too long ago, for Christ's sakes. It's finally time that we start seeing more and more of that come out of him. And even though I feel like that did kind of break down mid-round for JYNXZI Loyals, they pulled it back together. Just Spider-Man webbing the side of a trash can lid and yanking it their way. They did everything that they needed to do within the last 25 seconds of that round to make it work for them. Not to mention, they stalled Turtle Tactics out. They stalled them out 100% completely. They didn't give them anything to work with there at the very end.
Yeah, and I'm going to continue to repeat myself as if I'm a spitting record, but another huge problem that I spoke about just in the round before, not clearing out not only a very powerful position, but a simple one, that being top blue, a push over from Piano into top Mez and Library. You need to make sure that you displace and remove that player on blue stairs before you go for it. They didn't do that. They weren't aware of Nick's positions. That translates into 2 picks. And sure, you were able to eventually hit that additional refrag, but you wasted so much time simply because you just didn't throw out an extra drone and take a little bit more due diligence to make sure that nobody was on those stairs.
They just need to get better about that. Plain and simple, they need to get better about that. It's not something that we've seen them do too prominently in the first place anyway, because obviously JYNXZI Loyals, when it comes to just strict drone work, if we're talking about nothing but drone work, JYNXZI Loyals have been 100% the better team. Turtle Tactics just need to get better about it. Plain and simple, they did not drone out what needed to be droned out. It's not the first time. It probably won't be the last time. They're a very tunnel-visioned, what's good is good type of team. And it has been working out, but as of right now, it hasn't been working out for them.
Yeah, the first point of pressure they're trying to do is clear out Asian. Second round now where he has been the first player, the first checklist mark, whatever you want to say, that Turtle Tactics have to get rid of. It's Spider, though, get the opening pick on the center. Not going to get a whole lot of utility, but you are going to get an opening pick. We've talked about how important and crucial getting those opening picks, especially on the attack, it is for Turtle Tactics. There's also whether or not they know, cleared out trophy. Dami with one onto Rice, shutting him down. Zonky taking the head off of Asian. Hat, though, is able to slow down the pressure just a little bit. Remove TrevMac, get rid of the bomb that is the case carrier down. You also have Nick to worry about. They have a yellow ping. They know that diffuser's over there. They can play relatively passive to what they have now. They have time to work with, but a drone spotting out Nick is going to allow them to pick up the diffuser, try and put it down. This puts the pressure onto Nick to make the very first move. Throws out C4, but a complete misread on the position of where that diffuser is. Spider with one onto the cross from that double window. It's Millies to finish it off. And Turtle Tactics, after losing 2 in a row, they're able to find the very first on here in Chalet.
They proved that they were staying prominent throughout that at that current point in time. And then even in the past, they had been showing prominence. They just weren't putting all the pieces in the right spots. They weren't filling the correct, they weren't putting the circle in the circle hole. They were trying to shove the square one in there. And now it seems as though there is a chance that they're putting the circle in the circle now. Maybe they're actually getting their bearings underneath them, because the first 2 rounds, it might have been 2-0, but it was very tight. It was very tight 2-0. So maybe Turtle Tactics have finally woken up on this map. I'm not 100% sure, but we've seen them almost do the impossible before.
Yeah, we really have. And I think that is a really good change of pace from Turtle Tactics, taking a lot more time, understanding that there was one player in a position that they needed to clear. They had 2 drones and then 2 players try and clear them out. They weren't able to get them, but you were able to get another one. And then an additional second. Played that plant perfectly. And going into this, I think that is also something that Turtle Tactics have done a phenomenal job at fixing today, is their overall timing as a team, making sure that everybody's moving at the same pace, so not one attacker, whether it be an entry player or a shield player, moves too far away from the team, isolating himself and giving an easy one to JYNXZI Loyals. That is something that they need to make sure they do. Not giving these easy kills, these easy entry picks to Turtle or to JYNXZI Loyals, because if they don't, a lot of the time they are able to consistently get rid of them.
Now looking at it, Center is up top. I believe he had a castle barricade on that main window and it got destroyed. So he knows that he's been spotted out to an extent. Maybe not him, but they had a pretty good idea as to where he could have been hiding. Dami ends up getting the Fenrir mine that almost could have taken him out if someone was there. It looks as though he almost got pushed there. Spider gets Center. Nick gets Dami. Spider gets another double. Spider gets another double.
That's 3 in the round for Spider. TrevMac follows it up, and it's Rice. In an unofficial 1v4, essentially a 1v3, Spider being down, but they're more than likely going to be able to get him up. Just a minute and 10 seconds into the round, and 4 players on JYNXZI Loyals fall. That heavy extension on the top floor is eventually what dealt them the final blow. Not the final blow, but the biggest blow, as Rice at a 1v4 is a very unlikely situation. We talked about on the very first round on how they played double up. Turtle Tactics were never in a position to really clear up. Hearing that tracker from the grid, he's forced to just aggress. Doesn't have a lot of other opportunities. They just made him into the kill. And now, after JYNXZI and co go up to Turtle Tactics, they answer with 2 of their own.
And it's right back to what I said just a minute ago. Are Turtle Tactics awake? Are they now ready to go? Is it time for them to actually continue to keep the momentum that they had when they were down 5-1 and came all the way back? Yes, you lose map 2 in heartbreaking one-off type of fashion, but then now it comes down to continuing to capitalize on the momentum that you had. 2 very close rounds separated you, making it 2-0. You bring it all the way back 2-2 in 2 very convincing rounds. Now you just need to keep the convincing rounds coming.
Again, we've talked about the timing. I think that was perfectly. They timed that push onto that top floor down to a T. Obviously, Spider going huge for 3 kills. It started off. It definitely helped. But you're not always going to have that individual capability from just a single player. You're going to need a lot more, something a lot more consistent. So you saw in the first 2 rounds when they didn't have that, there wasn't anything up. But again and again, Asian in these entry positions, and he's not able to shut them down. You could say the exact same thing for Hat over on map 1 by Clubhouse. And it's a problem where if you continue to put these players and they can't shut down these entry picks and Turtle Tactics are able to win them, they put themselves in very comfortable positions where they are able to finish the round. In Hat. Getting his hat taken off by the gun of Zonky. Another questionable play. in my opinion, really has made quite a bit of questionable plays. And yet again,
He has.
the third entry pick in a row for Turtle Tactics here on Chalet.
Hat is now 2-3. A lot of other people have 3 kills or deaths. Aiden has 4. Asian has 4. Sorry. Aiden could have been the glue holding this team together, man. I really don't know what else to say or think when it comes down to it because, as that nade almost misses the shield. JYNXZI Loyals, I mean, they went up 2-0 and it looked promising, but now Turtle Tactics feel just within the round right now and within the game right now feel as though they are the team to beat. They are the team that is on top. It is still 2-2. The game is still young. Well, middle-aged, so to speak, since we're on map 3. But, yeah, I mean, the map is still young at the very least, 2-2. It's going to come down to how well Turtle Tactics can finish out their attacks. Yes. Do they continue to stall? Will it continue to be a problem for them? Doesn't seem as though it will be, as of right now, as we're watching deep-fried chicken nuggets.
Yeah, Zonky's able to finish off Rice. Spider with another! And Turtle Tactics, they've got the ball rolling. A 1v5 for center. They've droned him a nade. They know exactly where he is. Hell, they even got Dami on the Blackbeard. This is an impossible task, and it's a flawless round. As TrevMac, the player who has been the unsung hero so far here on Chalet, is going to continue as now Turtle Tactics, they go 3-0.
The definition of falling apart. If you look it up, you're gonna get a picture of JYNXZI Loyals. You're gonna get you're gonna get all 5 of their mugshots in a row.
Mugshots.
Because I don't understand how these guys have been so good and now they're just absolutely falling apart, falling off the bone like a well-cooked baby back rib. It's just absolutely insane.
I mean, it's almost as if Turtle Tactics are eating up JYNXZI Loyals as if it's a nice barbecue chicken feast.
There we go. Barbecue chicken.
Irish really gonna like that one.
Collard greens.
3 rounds in a row. Also marks 3 entry picks in a row for Turtle Tactics. That continues to be the defining factor of these rounds for both teams here on Chalet. And when you have players like Hat making questionable plays,
you
not
can't
reading those really aggressive situations correctly, and then also Asian continuing to have no effect whatsoever here in this round, it is really dire. And there's not a whole lot of opportunities that we've seen in these previous couple of rounds here from JYNXZI Loyals. They also are in a position to potentially fall down 4-2.
You just can't have Hat continue to be the opening kill. Like, it's not worth it, in all honesty. He almost gets the C4 kill onto Dami, but Dami was already on the roof at that current point in time, and now Dami's just going to do a quick little rotate with Blackbeard. He's now going to go back around as Millie, watching Big Garage now. He has a pretty good idea that someone could be down there, especially after he was just watching Trophy right then and there. Rice is the one that is stuck down there, but Rice might actually be able to rotate back up without too many consequences. He has to be very careful here, though.
Rice looking to potentially go for a run out, and he is able to find Spider. But the execution on the bomb site has gone through. Turtle Tactics, they have control. Finka's starting to put that bomb down. They still
Plant
have
goes down.
TrevMac also holding that hatch. If they go for that drop, he just looks off at the right moment. Millie with one. Zonky holding the cross. Rice has no idea that there's one behind him. And JYNXZI Loyals, they've been taken off guard. Zonky now with another one. Trying to drop hatch. You know where one player is. Millie's going to shut him down. The C4 is not going to find any effect. And yet again, a very similar position that we've seen time and time again. A 1v4 for a defender from JYNXZI Loyals. Sure, you're able to get 1 kill onto Dami. With that clock ticking down as it goes down to 8, now 7. It is an impossible task. And Turtle Tactics, they start this 3rd and final map with a 4-2 start on their attacking half.
4-2 start on the attack, and they were down 2-0. So that means it was 4 straight rounds from Turtle Tactics. They need to continue to apply the pressure on their defense. They were so prominent on their defense last map. I don't know. I mean, JYNXZI Loyals, the definition of just straight up falling apart. There's really nothing else that can be said or done when it comes to JYNXZI Loyals. They need to make sure that these attacks are just as prominent as Turtle Tactics have been. They did show somewhat of a shred of prominence on their defenses. It just was not enough. To quote the greatest Pokemon player of all time, Wolf Glick, but it wasn't enough.
No idea who that is, but what I do know, is that a 4-2 split on Chalet on your defense is not good. Obviously,
Not at all.
this isn't a map where it's really defender-sided. It's not console, it's not skyscraper. But a 4-2, at least a 3-3
Yep.
for the defense is expected. But losing 4-2 is just struggle. There were so many rounds. And honestly, those last 4 rounds, there was not one situation where JYNXZI Loyals had any control. Every single engagement, you would lose 3 to 4 players when Turtle Tactics either went one for an execution or went for a push on an off-site position. Now going in to their defensive half, choosing the first play on the top floor inside of Master, doing a heavy extension inside top mez, trying to hold that library position. JYNXZI Loyals not necessarily committing to an exact push, just trying to prick at these points of the map, trying to potentially see what they can get, if anything whatsoever, and decide where they want to attack from first.
And the same thing that we were saying about Turtle Tactics attacks have happened more than once to JYNXZI Loyals attacks on both maps so far, and even as of right now so far, from what I can tell on this map, stalling out. Stalling to a point where it's basically a complete halt. Will JYNXZI Loyals actually be able to get some work done on their attacks? Because if you show up to work, that doesn't always mean that you're working.
Oh
Zonky
my.
takes Rice out. That is the most important piece of utility off the board early.
The Zonkster absolutely going off. 8-2 now. Center trying to take some position inside of Solarium. Being that main spearhead of the Blackbeard, also has that case in his pocket. Is able to eventually get that trade, get revenge, and take Zonky off the board. But he
just
falls
fell!
off of
Hats!
the roof. Bad play after bad play.
Hats!
Are they aware of Spider? Nobody is close.
No, not at all.
To Hat, or okay, they are. They're able to get one.
He's gonna get the
Spider
Blackbeard
hears
easy.
the charge from Blackbeard. It doesn't look like that they're aware of this player. They don't have a line of sight whatsoever.
They don't have
Center
drones on him.
really wants to try and get this bomb down. He
Hat's
thinks
back
he
up.
has an opening, but he may not know. Trev with the log shot with the SMG-12 on the Asian. Spider's just waiting for his time. He finds the head on the center. That's bomb down. Hat caught completely off guard. He knows where this player is. The C4 goes off. Doesn't find any effect. The jump in. Dommy's there to shut it down. Nick tries to go huge, but it's Millie to shut it down for the last kill. Turtle Tactics, they win their very first and grow that lead to 3.
Is stall even the right word at this point for JYNXZI Tactics? Or JYNXZI Loyals? Turtle Tactics literally screeched them to a halt themselves. They stopped, they put their hand out and stopped the car from running. It's not even about stalling out an attack. It's about being as prominent as they have been on their defenses throughout this entire match. All 3 maps now. And it's just proving more and more likely that JYNXZI Loyals, not only do they not seem as though they're a very good attacking team, they just don't, I don't think they have it. They don't have it to be able to compete with a team like Turtle Tactics right now. Oh,
Yep.
but Ace, it was they're 0-2, and then JYNXZI Loyals is 2-0. Based off what we've seen right here today, you would think the opposite. You would have thought JYNXZI Loyals was 0-2 and Turtle Tactics was 2-0. JYNXZI Loyals barely squeaked out the win on Bank. or else we would have already been in our beds and you would already be watching the other match. JYNXZI Loyals got lucky on Bank, and now it's literally doing nothing more than coming to light right now.
I mean, this Turtle Tactics roster, after those first 2 rounds, is playing with an immense amount of confidence. Something that Asian probably doesn't have, as he's 0-7. Hat also not having a lot of success, and it's not even necessarily the one factor of just not having these entry players perform be the contributing factor. That, coherence, that team play that you talked about just simply is not there. They're not vetting these decent players. They're dying to swings from an SMG-12.
Yeah.
Positions where these are not kills that you should be allowing to buffer. And yet again, another early round where JYNXZI Loyals, they've cleared a lot of position, but it's map control that's been forfeited by Turtle Tactics on purpose.
Just on purpose couldn't have been the better phrase for you to end that one off on. Just JYNXZI Loyals, the Zonkster. Asian still has 0 kills. He has 8 deaths now. What else is it going to take?
I mean, it just you lose your Thatcher.
Yep.
That's your Thatcher on the board. Luckily, though, they do have Hat. He is able to not only shoot those bandit charges, but also the 2 brow charges. Almost finds. He does find Hat. Come on,
Hat.
You've got to win that. You were watching that.
How does he lose?
Get
that?
another round. 2 kills, completely untraded, have completely stunted this attack. Smoke Babes will hold off. Millie finds another one onto Rice. The ace falls. The fuser falls with him. Center half on health. Nick and I in isolated position. They need something. They need a player to go huge. Millie could potentially meet Center. Center's trying his best to find this player, but he just can't find out exactly where he is. Potentially could get a 2-man cross here if they go into piano, but they still have to worry about this player inside of Master, but it's Spider from below.
Flawless.
Millie with the switch, and it's a flawless round at Turtle Tactics. They buy themselves just 1 round away from winning this series.
That last round right there was the dagger that was going into the side of JYNXZI Loyals. You had it just kind of sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and now you went from being down 2-0 to up 6-0. They have won 6 rounds in a row. And it has not only been attacking rounds, it has also been defending rounds that they have won. Absolutely unbelievable scenes that we're seeing here. It doesn't matter how much prep work you have, because neither of these teams had basically any coming into this. It comes down to the fact that you have the better guns. Yes, Hat was on a main stage not too long ago.
I don't think he made main stage.
No, they did.
They did? Okay.
Yeah. It was only for either 1 or 2 matches, but yeah, I promise I was watching. And then Rice, of course, very prominent name. Center also very, very good at what he does. But when it comes down to it, Zonky, Dami, Spider, even Millie to an extent. It's just, look at the lineup.
This is a lineup that, even with speaking with Mint, he took a chance on. These are players that were undervalued.
He did it on purpose,
did a lot of opportunities, specifically Spider being one of those. Mint even saying that he was confused on why nobody was even trying to pick this guy up. And sure, they've had their struggles. They weren't able to qualify for Challenger Series. They weren't able to have any effect, but they did win the XGS mini tournament, whatever you want to call it, get here. They're really proving why they are a strong and solid, consistent roster.
They are.
Understands that there's a player inside a boiler. Not a whole lot denying this space aside from the shotgun on the hip of Dami. This should be relatively an easy position. Sure, flashbang won't work, but you got 4 nades in the pocket of Center and Hat. This is a position that should be really easy to clear out.
As easy as it might seem to clear out, will they be able to do it? The amount of damage that Nick just took. The Nitro takes Nick out! Why are you bashing? Rice takes Dami out. Center is hurt bad. Just the downfall of this team just happened right there. It was so easy to win if you were the attackers, but they were ready for it. They knew it looked easy, and they proved that it didn't matter. Rice has the diffuser now. Center is hurt so unbelievably bad. He bashed into some damage. And
Not
now,
even able.
yeah, it's up to them now.
It's not even able to get wall open. Eventually, it will. Two-brow canister from Spider's going to continue to dwindle time, and all they have to do for the defense is just sit and hold their crossfires. A couple of shots from Spider. Rice is able to bait that out, but they know that the game plan is to try and get center to get that bomb down. Those ace charges on that long wall eventually will be able to go off. They just don't have any info to play with. They have a little bit of time.
Center is so
Bomb
hurt.
will start to go down, but there's so many angles that Rice has to watch. Even through all of that, Center's able to get it off. A nice shot from Rice, but it's the Songster to finish it off. And after going down 0-2, losing a close one on map 1, and the entirety of JYNXZI Loyals leaving the lobby, the Turtle Tactics do it and win their very first game in the group stage of the finale. Saying GG's to absolutely nobody. They are gone.
The most important victory comes when you least expect it. When you're trying your least, you end up winning. Look at that. They're gone. They left that fast. Look, I don't know. I mean, the name JYNXZI Loyals kind of tells you something about this team. And then it comes down to the fact that they're leaving early and stuff like that. They just weren't ready for what Turtle Tactics had in store. They won Bank by complete shock factor. They lucked into winning Bank. Turtle Tactics were the better team the whole time.
Yeah.
They just lucked into winning Bank at the very end of the day. They made it to where Turtle Tactics didn't get 4 points, but if they see them again, Turtle Tactics is going to get their one back because, I mean, it's pretty unsportsmanlike to do what they did there at the end.
Yeah, you know, this is a matchup that you can go out of your way and say, they didn't have it. It was the glue.
Not at all.
I understand that he does shot call, so there is a little bit of a vocal sense missing on this team. You have Hat, who just was top 6 at SI this year. You had Asian, you have Rice, you have players who have been veteran. Rice just finishing, I think it was like top 5 in CS.
I don't think Asian got a kill, by the way.
Asian did not get a kill, in fact.
I don't think he got
Zongster did. And this is a sense where, sure, you miss a player that's really crucial. With all the experience, all the struggle, and to be fair, there was quite a bit of struggle there on map 2 for the Turtle Tactics. This is a matchup that JYNXZI Loyal should not have won.
Not at all.
Still, I don't want to say found a way to lose it, but a phenomenal retake. And this is a match where I can really say that Turtle Tactics are now gunning for a playoff spot, a play-in spot, whatever it may be. They are now contending in the finale in the group stage. Sadly enough for us, even if it was a long one, it will be all we have for me in Ace. But we do have another best of 3, another set of casters coming up soon. Don't go anywhere far. We'll be relatively back shortly.